I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, forecasters are urging people headed to the backcountry to be careful, with much of the Wasatch Mountains still at considerable risk of seeing avalanches. Utah Avalanche Center forecaster Dave Kelly says just this weekend they saw a big one in Mill Creek Canyon.
And that avalanche was 500 feet wide, 5 feet deep, and ran over 2,000 vertical feet, taking out old uphill skin tracks.
Kelly says the danger will go down as we work through the week. 2 snowmobilers are expected to make a full recovery after they got stuck in steep terrain in Wasatch County. Rescuers say they were able to locate because they had a satellite beacon with them and were able to set off the SOS button. Our top national story now. 2 people are injured, including a 5-year-old boy, after a woman opened fire inside celebrity pastor Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church. ABC's Allison Kosick has more.
Police say just before the shooter died, she claimed to have a bomb, but officers say no explosives were found. The boy was listed in critical condition overnight. Another person, a 57-year-old man, was shot in the leg. Pastor Joel Osteen praised the swift actions of law enforcement.
We don't understand why these things happen, but we know God's in control, and we're going to pray for that little 5-year-old boy and pray for the lady that was deceased.
2 off-duty police officers confronted and killed the shooter. Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 55 points now. That's over 0.1%. We're at 38,728. Coming up, the cloudy weather will continue today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
You have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And did you know that we get a bunch of service calls per year from people who didn't even hire us? That means they originally hired someone else to replace their siding, gutters, and windows. Then later, when a problem popped up, they tried to call their contractor back to fix it, only to find out that the contractor has ceased to exist. They're gone, done, out of business. At RGS Exteriors, we've been serving Utah for 70 years. As a 5th-generation owned contractor, we've got customers who are the grandkids of our customers we had in the 1950s and 60s. We're not going anywhere. We will be here when you need us, period. For siding, gutters, and windows, now and forever, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit at rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
I guess it's human nature, Amanda, that no matter how much money we have in our savings account, it never seems like it's enough. And if you find yourself in that mode right now, let us direct you over to our friends at UCCU. They are wanting to help you supercharge your savings.
UCCU is offering high-rate savings options with yields up to 5.5%. All you do is go to uccu.com and select a high-rate savings option to do just what you said, supercharge your savings.
You're going to get a much bigger return on your savings right now. It's a savings certificate, which means you make one deposit up front and your money grows over a fixed period of time. So you can have that grow over 5 years, but UCCU has created some very short-term savings certificates with high yields, short like 6 months, 9 months, or a year.
So you decide how long do you want to put that money. You deposit money, a one-time only deposit, and then you let it stay in. The longer it stays in there, the higher the interest rate you earn.
And if you need immediate access to your money, UCCU's Money Market will give you a high yield and anytime access.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Jason Jones.
Still seeing this problem northbound I-15 coming out of Utah County. It's on the point of the mountain, and the right lane is blocked at about 147th south, I guess is what we're going to call that. And so your delays are stretching back up around the point of the mountain at this time. Also, but once you're past that, you're going to be really good all the way into the rest of I-15 into Salt Lake City. Southbound I-15, we still see this accident up in the Kaysville area. It's off to the right shoulder. It's second north. There are lots of flashing lights on scene, so don't get too distracted by those and make that situation any worse. The rest of your commute is looking pretty fantastic with regular speeds on the other highways and side streets. Call 866-0RES and say you want the KSL special, $33 per room cleaned and $50 off air duct cleaning. Zero Res. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather mostly sunny today with a high of 43 degrees. We start clouding up a little bit midweek, and we have a chance for some rain on Thursday. Right now, sunny skies and 30 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We start this week not knowing yet what will become of Natalie Klein, the state school board member who came under fire late last week for that post on Facebook. However, in the 10 o'clock hour, we will be going in depth on what the options are right now on Utah's Capitol Hill to address this. That's right. She's a state school board member, but she may, if she does not resign, Dave, be dealt a hand of cards from Utah's Capitol Hill.
Yeah, it might be an impeachment. At the worst, it looks like she'll have a very, very, very hard time getting reelected this year. It's 9:07. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union. Here are the 3 things that Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
I do really want to go right on the money at 9:50 with this. We are now, what, is it 6 weeks outside of Christmas? Many Utahns admitting in a brand new Deseret News poll they will not be able to pay off their holiday credit card debt for at least a full year.
Wow.
Yeah, and Utah credit card debt, Dave, now at a staggering, $6,800 in credit card debt.
At a nice 20-something%
29
APR.
29, almost 30%. I feel like we need a good Monday morning intervention. You know, we've all heard of the debt snowball, right? We've heard of the debt snowball. If you haven't, don't worry. We'll bring you up to speed on what that is at 9:50. We're going to add some oomph to the debt snowball and let you in on the debt avalanche method. That's right. I said avalanche. We all know what those are, right? They just happen fast and bam. Done.
What happens with the debt avalanche is that you end up spending less over time and therefore paying off your debt faster because you're getting rid of that high interest debt first.
I think the biggest problem we have right now, and this is very clear to me, especially coming right off of Christmas, we can't say no to ourselves. I don't know if it is a problem with COVID, that we were locked away for so long that we've just lost all sanity when it comes to spending. But this is not all to be blamed on inflation. This is not to be blamed on rising costs. I think this is staring ourselves in the mirror, looking at ourselves and saying, stop buying things.
Countdown. 2.
Speaking of state school board member Natalie Klein, facing growing pressure to resign after her Facebook post implied a high school girls basketball player is transgender. Let me say it again. She is not transgender. So if Klein won't resign after that post, can lawmakers actually remove her from office? Well, the House of Representatives have opened a file literally called the Resolution to Address State School Board Member Natalie Klein. We'll have live analysis on what lawmakers might do, can do, should do in our 10 o'clock hour.
No one should put anyone else's kids' pictures on Facebook, no matter what the issue. That's just not a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a terrible thing. I think the question I have right now, Debbie, is this an impeachable offense? Or is this just something where we need to look and say, wow, that was it. We made a terrible decision electing this individual. So The next time she runs, if she does run, we're not going to elect that person. And I think sometimes we think, oh, you know what? Everything's an impeachable offense. Maybe this is, maybe it's not. But it's difficult when it's elected officials because there isn't an easy way to just get rid of somebody.
Launch countdown 1.
The day before the big game, U.S. Senator Mike Lee was not preparing Super Bowl snacks, at least not that we know of. But instead, he was involved in a nearly 4-hour-long speech against funding in the Ukraine war. I guess it wasn't involved. He was actually doing this speech for nearly 4 hours.
I think all of us would like to see Ukraine just win. We can't wish it into existence. We can't just dump enough money into it to make it happen.
Now, I've watched chunks of this. If you missed it, you are not alone. There are a lot of Republicans, 11 by last count that I saw, that admitted to not watching Senator Lee's 4-hour filibuster. Senator Mitt Romney, he admitted that as well. So was it a waste of time? Oh, it's harsh, but probably. But it shouldn't have been. Senator Lee brought up a lot of good questions about what we're doing in Ukraine.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The launch.
Commence.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
Well, there was a plan back in D.C. to address both border security and Ukraine funding. That plan died last week.
And it died because I think the House of Representatives, they got greedy. They wanted more. It wasn't enough. And I think because they got to get a little bit greedy, it ended up falling away. Now, former President Donald Trump was calling up members of Congress saying, this is a bad bill, don't address it, don't do it. And what that bill did was essentially address Ukraine funding and the southern border.
So that bill fails. A new bill pops up. It's focused just on funding for Ukraine without tying it to border security. And so begins this marathon-style, Super Bowl-length filibuster by Senator Mike Lee, who lays out the problem with this latest iteration of the bill.
Senate Republicans made a commitment that we made to each other and that we made to the American people. That commitment was simple. It was one that said, before we send another dollar, another dime, another penny to Ukraine, let's do what we can to actually enforce the border.
Now, this is a tricky argument for Mike Lee to make because Mike Lee, for a very, very long time, as long as I can remember, has always said, I hate tying everything together. I don't like taking one issue and another issue and then lumping them into bills when they have nothing to do with each other. Well, he's saying in this right here, that's exactly what we want. We want to tie southern border security to Ukraine funding. Those are two totally separate issues that we should be voting on separately, but Republicans had made a plan, and the plan was keep these two together. Let's force the Democrats into conceding.
He says it also gives Democrats a good win, a big win. They get to fund Ukraine's defense against Russia without giving up any concessions on the border.
Democrats win. Democrats get the support of 17 Republicans who will support not only the legislation crafted in secret that unites Democrats and sharply divides Republicans, but also alienates overwhelmingly, and with good reason, most Republican voters.
Well, let's ask next of ABC News when they join us. Does this bill stand a chance of passing?
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Imagine yourself here.
Through traffic all the way to the finish line and let it up and in.
On us. Score your tickets to Wednesday's Jazz Lakers Showdown. Listen to Utah's Morning News Tuesday and Wednesday at 8:45 for your chance to win. Jazz Lakers tickets from Utah's Morning News at KSL News Radio.
For John's 60th birthday, his family planned to drive down Old Route 66. But the trip took a detour when his wife got sick with RSV. It's a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems and hospitalizations.
This year, we don't want to cancel our plans. We're protecting ourselves with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine.
Abrysvo, a vaccine to prevent lower respiratory disease from RSV in people 60 years and older. It's not for everyone and may not protect all who receive it. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had an allergic reaction to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may decrease your response. Most common side effects are tiredness, headache, injection site pain, and muscle pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com.
So don't wait. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, because every breath matters.
Denise has been playing jazz for 40 years. Last concert, one of the musicians fell sick with RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory tract disease caused by respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in adults 60 years of age and older. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its ingredients. People with a weakened immune system may have a decreased response to Abrysvo. The most common side effects are tiredness, headache, pain at the injection site, and muscle pain. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
If you've ever set New Year's resolutions before, you know how difficult it is to follow through because you have to wait to see the results. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and in honor of your New Year, New You resolutions, Any Hour Services is having our New Year, New System sale. From now until the end of February, Any Hour Services will give you $2,024 off a new furnace and air conditioner, and you don't have to wait to save the money. You get $2,024 off at the time of purchase. The only thing you have to do to qualify for our New Year, New System sale is call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. When you call, there's no obligation to buy. Just schedule a time to meet that works best for you. Let me say that again. From now until the end of February, when you have Any Hour Services install a new furnace and air conditioner, we'll give you $2,024 off. Call Any Hour Services right now and schedule a free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Tonight on KSL, if you choose not to tip, you could pay the price. I was like, wow. KSL investigator Matt Gephardt digs into the new push to get your gratuity before any work is done.
You've already got the money. Does it change your motivation to hustle?
See how it's attracting workers.
0 tip. I was pretty much working for charity.
But at what cost to you?
It's really run amok sometimes.
What to consider before you fall into the pre-tip trap tonight at 10.
Okay, that's good. Whoa, Dave!
Sorry, I'll go grab some paper towels. You can't let Dave pour things. He works at JCW's. They fill stuff up past the brim over there, like their milkshakes. They're thick, rich, and oh my gosh.
Delicious?
Oh no. Dave's filling up Crystal's car for her.
Dave, stop!
Hey, this is Clark for JCW. Stop into any of our 5 locations today. We're located in American Fork, Thanksgiving Point, Provo, South Jordan, and our new location in Harriman. Come in and see why at JCW's we believe in quality and a lot of it.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, a person is dead after a shooting in Sandy. Police say it started as an argument. 2 people are now in police custody. Second, a Utah lawmaker wants to drop property taxes on homes by changing how governments decide on property taxes for commercial real estate. Third, Utah has the 3rd lowest number of mortgage-free homes in the nation, with around 70% of homeowners still paying their mortgages. Right now, it's 30 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
Senator Mike Lee spent about 4 hours of a Saturday on the Senate floor filibustering. He's talking. Maybe to himself.
100% to himself. That was a barren chamber.
So Ukraine is running out of money. President Zelensky has made it clear. He's come to the U.S. several times. He's been here in person. He's begged Congress for help for funding. But our very own Senator Mike Lee isn't convinced we should continue funding Ukraine's fight against Russia.
I think all of us would like to see Ukraine just win. We can't wish it into existence. We can't just dump enough money into it to make it happen. On the contrary, economic aid, by some measures, is proving to be a colossal waste of money.
And in the past couple of years, we've sunk about $100 billion plus into the Ukraine war. And Lee called this a proxy war, meaning we're fighting Russia, but without having to put American lives at risk.
How much money did you say?
Over $100 billion.
This February 24th will mark 2 years. 2 years since Russia invaded Ukraine. There's also a political problem for Republicans here. They had a plan to address the southern border of the United States, right? And it was directly funded or tied to Ukraine funding.
And especially if you're a Republican, any of the Republicans who I think all of us said we should use this as an opportunity to force border security, to harness what support there is behind providing additional assistance to Ukraine to force security of the border with an administration bent on the opposite of that.
Now, Senator Lee said there were times in this speech where he wasn't completely opposed to helping Ukraine. The largest complaint, although he did put some question marks, he's like, I'm not sure what we're doing is working. Ukraine is stalled. They haven't been pushing Russia back. They're not winning in their counterattack. But he said largely the problem is we haven't had the chance. We had a chance to tie border security and really address the border to Ukraine funding. It was the game plan of the Republicans, and it has failed. They've abandoned that.
Wow. Ike Ejiochi in Washington, D.C. with ABC News, of course. Thanks for joining us. That's a bit of a revelation now that they were so insistent that they were going to tie all this together, and now here we are on a Monday in February. It looks like that's fallen apart, Ike.
It really is. And what we're seeing right now is the Senate trying to essentially keep its promises right now in the wake of House Republicans essentially doing an about-face on their border deal. We saw House Speaker Mike Johnson say time and time again for months that any aid for Ukraine and Israel must be tied to a border deal. Well, you had a bipartisan group get together and create one that essentially the conservative leaning Border Patrol agency and several others said that it was a positive. So what you're seeing now is essentially an effort by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Republican Leader, Chuck Schumer and Republican Leader McConnell to essentially try to pass wartime funding for Ukraine, Israel, and other countries. And McConnell issued a stark warning about the consequences of abandoning this. He said, no exaggeration, that the eyes of the world are on the United States. So we saw the Senate over the weekend vote essentially in overwhelming fashion, 67-27, to move forward on that $95 billion aid package for Ukraine, Israel, and other countries. And it's a rare sight, senators on Super Bowl Sunday working to try to pick up the pieces from what essentially House Republicans decided to leave on the floor.
Another thing that was infuriating Senator Lee, and he kind of went on a Twitter rant. I'm not sure what the X version of X rant, Twitter rant is.
Where you might want to be careful with that one.
That's true. I'm not. This is live radio. We're just on the fly here, Ike. But one of his frustrations.
We're gonna have to censor Dave. I love it. Good one, Ike.
One of his frustrations was that they're not able to in this bill add amendments to be able to make some tweaks and changes. And that really this was done behind closed doors.
Exactly, and that's what some of the complaints you're seeing right now. But it is important to note that Democrats, they are trying to add amendments. That's something that Schumer said. He said that he is open to amendments, most of which, however, would be likely to fail. but he forced senators to stay in session through the weekend to try to essentially speed up the process. But what we're seeing right now is just an inability to move forward on this right now. And those so-called amendments, it's not necessarily that they're closed doors, that the work doesn't want to be done right now. We're seeing an outside force from former President Donald Trump openly campaigning against any kind of deal on the border or wartime aid for Israel, Ukraine, so on and so forth. And that is in direct conflict with what used to be a majority of Republicans and Democrats, right when this war started. They were unified on this. But we're seeing the effects of former President Donald Trump have on the Republican Party now, not only in the House, but also in the Senate.
Before we let you go, what are the odds that this will get through the House?
Again, it's right now, its future is deeply uncertain in the House. A large majority of those GOP lawmakers, they're all firmly allied with Trump, like I was saying. And right now we're seeing Trump really, I'm not sure where former President Donald Trump is allied with. It's rather shocking, some of the claims he made recently with NATO, European allies, threatening to not support them and telling Russia to do what they want to them. And opposite of essentially what a vast majority of the history of the United States has been. So you're seeing a Republican Party react and start to take on some of these essential beliefs and motivations from former President Donald Trump, which is making something as easy as wartime aid for Ukraine, something that was across the board almost supported, again, almost a year ago now, cannot get through the Senate or the House.
Ike Ejiochi, thank you for joining us, ABC News correspondent out of Washington.
We're not sure how Senator Mike Lee's filibuster will land.
And especially if you're a Republican, any of the Republicans who I think all of us said we should use this as an opportunity to force border security, to harness what support there is behind providing additional assistance to Ukraine, to force security of the border with an administration bent on the opposite of that.
I do wonder if Republicans have gotten a little greedy in this conversation.
Do say more.
There was a deal. There was a deal in place, and it seemed to have some real support. Was it perfect? Did it give Republicans everything they wanted? No. Republicans want to address the southern border before they address anything overseas. Like that's an oversimplification, but very much they want to focus on the southern border. Well, that was the negotiation is, okay, we're going to give you Ukraine funding, we'll give you some Israel funding, but you have to crack down on the border. Well, they'd hashed out a plan that a lot of Democrats hated. They did not like this plan. They thought they'd given way too much up to the Republicans, but Republicans got a little greedy. They wanted a little more. The House of Representatives, they said, we want more, more, and the deal falls apart. Perfection is the enemy of good. And I think a lot of people looked at the bill that just died, that bipartisan bill, was good. Was it great? Was it what everyone wanted? No, it was a compromise.
So you feel like tying Ukraine funding and other funding to the southern border was the right move?
It was a smart move.
Something done at the border while still funding Ukraine.
Yeah. The biggest problem is I'm actually against Senator Lee on this in the sense that I don't have a problem with voting on individual bills. Let's talk about Ukraine. Let's address that bill. Let's talk about the southern border. Let's address that bill. When we throw them all together and they have nothing to do with each other, that's what makes Washington ugly.
So actually, you don't agree with Senator Mike Lee on how. All right, now that we've got that sorted out, it's clear as mud. Next, I remember how we all laughed at this idea of drawing Pacific Ocean water from the coast of California to fill up the Great Salt Lake? Utah's Capitol Hill isn't laughing. It turns out they're getting serious about it. Next.
9:30 at KS on News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour is a developing story. One person is dead and a second is in the hospital after a shooting along 7800 South near 600 East in Sandy. Sergeant Greg Moffitt says it happened about 3:30 this morning and involved some kind of dispute between a group of people.
At the office right now, we have detectives that are interviewing two people that have been detained.
Moffitt says the two people in custody are both men, but he didn't have their ages. There's no word what led up to the dispute. A 19-year-old is dead after an apparent wrong-way crash near I-80 this weekend. Police say the 19-year-old was driving a car when they crashed into the oncoming car, injuring their passenger and the driver of the other car. Police say alcohol may have been a factor. Our top national story this hour, the FAA is investigating an incident this weekend where a Boeing 737 lost its brakes.
Flight 1632 from Washington Dulles had just landed at DFW Airport when the plane had a braking issue. Like many large airports, this one has a system of crushable material at the end of its runways to help stop an aircraft that goes off the end. And it worked. The 99 passengers and 6 crew members were taken to the terminal by bus, and no one was hurt. Now the FAA is trying to determine why the plane couldn't stop. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 175 now. That's almost 0.5%. We're at 38,852. Coming up, lots of sunshine today, and we're in the 40s this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
My family has dry skin. We've had dry skin. I've talked about this a lot of times, and we've done lotion, we've done humidifiers, we've done just about everything to try to keep things a little bit more hydrated during the winter. I think the best thing that we've done, though, is to get soft water in our house. It was incredible the difference it made. We went about a decade without soft water, and we were really struggling as a family. So Connecticut of Utah came out to our house and walked us through and explained to us Utah has some of the hardest water in the entire country. And when you get a soft water system installed, it just makes everything better, whether it's your skin, your laundry, your dishes, your expensive appliances. Soft water really benefits all those areas. So if you want to learn more about soft water, you can go to their website, softwaterutah.com. That's for Connecticut. Connecticut, by the way, is also an authorized Connecticut dealer. Or give them a call, 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. If you spend thousands of dollars and years of your life becoming a knowledge worker, I have some news for you. It's not over. Depending on your specialty, knowledge has a short shelf life. If you want to retain or increase your value, you'll need to keep learning for the rest of your career. Research today shows that most knowledge workers spend 20 to 25% of their time learning, and much of that learning occurs with work teams and other colleagues. That's more than one day in every work week spent in formal or informal learning. Learn how to learn better with an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get
the power of a cut above.
Decades of expertise to transform your home, from so-so to virtuoso.
The power of neighborhood painters.
We live where you live, and probably like the same pizza place you do. Put
the power of pro
to work for you today. Get your project started at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
You know that feeling? The weather starts getting colder, so you go down to check out the furnace and you look around and think, what am I even looking at? Because you don't know how these things work with all the lights and wires and pipey things. And then you think, I bet those technicians at Whipple went to school for this. Shouldn't they be here looking at my furnace? Whipple that away. Knowing what to look for on your furnace tune-up is my job. Make your problem my problem. Whipple Service Champions. Take advantage of our $27 furnace tune-up at whipplethataway.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Jason Jones.
And right lane remains blocked northbound I-15 at about 147 south as you're coming around the point of the mountain. In fact, they just opened it. The cars just drove off. So you're going to be able to get by now in all lanes, although somebody's out of their vehicle. All right, so never mind. Right lane still affected if you are traveling northbound on I-15, and it's causing some delays there. So make sure you stick over to the left as you come around the point of the mountain. The accident that we had southbound I-15 at about 2nd North in Kaysville, that one is gone now, so you don't have to worry about that. And in fact, you don't have to worry about any accidents or delays anywhere else along the Wasatch Front. It's all looking really good. No problems on the Wasatch back right now either. Revere Health encourages you to schedule your preventative care and annual checkups to help increase the potential to live your most healthy and active life. Revere Health, your partner in health, your partner in life. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, it'll be sunny today, a high of 43. We get up to the upper 40s by the weekend, close to 50 degrees. We do have a chance of rain on Thursday to watch out for. Right now, it's 30 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Eye on the Hill 2024. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Utah lawmakers looking into several things on Utah's Capitol Hill. And you know how we all laughed not too long ago about the idea of bringing water in from the Pacific Ocean to fill up. Dave's still laughing. He's laughing. Is to fill up the Great Salt Lake. In a moment, we're going to talk to KSL News Radio's Adam Small about this, Dave, because it feels like they're getting serious. It ain't just part of a comedy skit. They're also looking at this as well, a new water agent. This agent, a water agent, sounds like such a weird term. Like
007 is basically the James Bond of water agents. Special agent.
Love that Senate President Stuart Adams joined Utah's Morning News this morning to keep us up to date on what's going on in Capitol Hill. Let's let him explain what this water agent 007 would do.
That water agent will work with other states to try to develop new water sources. We know we have to conserve, but we know that without new water resources, water is the limiting factor to our growth. And there's so many opportunities. They're endless as to how we can work with other states to find a win-win with them.
And I think because we don't cover this, we're not experts. Where does that water come from?
Oh,
where does it magically come from?
So he addressed that with when Amanda asked him a question about that.
Years ago, we talked about bringing water from the Pacific Ocean. Everybody kind of laughed at it, but we actually didn't want to do that. We thought of maybe setting up desalination plants in California and then trading California their Colorado River may be water rights, and us paying for the desalination plants. Nevada's doing that. They're actually trying to work with California, building desalination plants so that they can have water out of the ocean, and then the water that would have flowed to California, Nevada's keeping it, actually creates new water. That's an innovative idea that started in Utah, I think, and Nevada's using it, and we need to be ahead of the curve rather than behind Nevada.
They scooped us.
You remember the very first time I'd heard this idea was in the Senate primary with Bruce Huff and Mike Lee. And I remember him saying this. Oh, sorry, it was with Celeste Malloy. But he had talked about this very thing, about a desalinization plant in California. And again, that makes so much more sense to say, hey, instead of us sending you a whole bunch of water from the Colorado River, we're going to keep a little bit more of that water, but we'll help pay for you to develop this desalinization plant so you guys can take all that salty ocean water and turn it into drinking water.
It's like baseball trading cards.
That's exactly what it is, Deb.
KSL News Radio reporter Adam Small, always tracking the developments on the Great Salt Lake for us here at KSL News Radio. So we did laugh at the ocean water concept being piped to Utah, which did sound a bit ridiculous, over the river and through the woods. Up the hill the pipe goes for hundreds and hundreds of miles. But the trading card idea, the baseball trading card idea, sounds reasonable. What's your knowledge on this issue, Adam?
I mean, this is a pretty new thought to me that this morning. I mean, when we first talked about the ocean water, I had thought about that original proposal to actually build a pipeline that shoots water all the way up from the ocean to Utah. But, some scientists came out and were like, look, this is going to cause way too much emission, cost way too much energy, and of course, way too much money. But the desalinization plant idea has been something that I feel like California has been, at least, people down there have talked about. I've lived in California for a couple of years where it's like, we struggle to get water. Why not have these desalinization plants? The trade-off with Utah of you don't have to build the pipeline and we could keep more Colorado River water potentially not, at least my initial reaction, potentially not only solves maybe some of the Great Salt Lake's problems, but also Lake Powell. I don't feel like we talk about Lake Powell that often because we're so far away, but Lake Powell's still only 33% full. Like that, and the Colorado River, that's direct inflow to Lake Powell. So, I mean, yeah, I'd probably want to see a little bit more research into this idea, but at face value, definitely sounds like a really good trade. I don't know.
The tricky part here, though, is getting California to play along and building a desalinization plant or expanding them. That can be extremely expensive. And the biggest problem, I went down a weird rabbit hole of desalinization a few weeks ago, but it is incredibly energy intensive. So the big question is, where does all that energy come from? And it seems like one of those common answers is it's great for nuclear. Nuclear power can help, kind of work in tandem, kind of a symbiotic relationship.
Do you get the impression, Adam, in covering the Great Salt Lake issue up on Capitol Hill, that lawmakers are really just willing to throw anything at the wall and see what sticks at this point?
Yeah, and it seems like it's been that way for the last couple of years. I mean, I've been following a couple bills closer than others, but I mean, you can, our legislative website's so cool where you can go in and just search keywords. I've found so many bills, so many different ideas on the Great Salt Lake. I followed one, it's called an appropriation request, but really it means hey, can the state give us money for this thing? There's a project where they're trying to redo this or update this pipeline that runs through Ogden Canyon, sending water down to residents in Ogden. But the end of the line shoots out into this part of the Great Salt Lake called Willard Spur, where there's avian botulism outbreaks every summer. And they're like, hey, if you give us some money, we'll dump some water into Willard Spur and help the Great Salt Lake and potentially help save the lives of hundreds, maybe even thousands of birds. But then also there was a huge one last week where, it's a pretty heated one where some lawmakers want mineral companies to not have as much written right to basically infinite amount of water in the Great Salt Lake to evaporate it to harvest minerals. It's
in the Utah Manufacturers Association, if my memory serves, the man in charge of it, Todd Bingham, went before Capitol Hill.
I have reached out personally to the sponsor a number of times, and if I dare say in front of this group, he has never responded to me.
Okay, that's over the mineral rights debate, and here's what House Speaker Mike Schultz said in return.
I don't think it's fair, and it really frustrates me, to be honest, that these companies haven't engaged in a good faith negotiation to help find a solution.
So where do they land on this one with mineral rights?
Well,
most of us don't even understand anything about, but it's a big deal, Adam, to the companies that do.
Right, and I guess to kind of frame it all together, so I've spoken with the Department of Natural Resources more times than I can count. So they basically broke down how much of the Great Salt Lake's either upstream water or water in it is used every year. Farming is still the predominant runaway number one water user. They use almost 2/3 of the upstream water, but mineral companies, they still do have a pretty good chunk. They use about 8% of the Great Salt Lake's yearly water. And so this legislation, which Mike Schultz was working on before he became House Speaker last year, which I did a story on last year with him, basically how it's written in Utah law now is these mineral companies, which are important to Utah's economy, they extract these minerals, they pay royalties to the state. It is important for us, but they also do use a lot of water. Under the way the law is written, they can use as much water as they want until the Great Salt Lake's completely dried up. So basically this legislation passed committee unanimously, and they want to change the language to, hey, you guys need to have limits set too.
Adam Small, thank you for joining us.
Keep an eye on it for us, Adam. Great stuff. Next, are you in debt up to your eyeballs, especially after Christmas? You're still paying off that debt? You're not alone. Next, let's set aside the debt snowball for just a moment. We're going to talk about the debt avalanche as a way to pay down that high-interest credit card.
What happens with the debt avalanche is that you end up spending less over time and therefore paying off your debt faster because you are getting rid of that.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
The podcast for Utah's morning news and Dave and Debbie are right there. Dozens of podcasts a day.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
When was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it really deserves? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the biggest air filter in your home. If your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you're breathing in all sorts of nasty dirt, dander, and germs that keep recirculating again and again. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home with their February special. Don't think vacuuming or DIYing will suffice. Call the pros. Zero Res has over 7,400 Google reviews with a 4.8 rating. This month, it's $33 per room cleaned, plus a fourth room free with promo code 4FREE24. And don't forget about your air ducts. Take $50 off your air duct cleaning with promo code CLEAN-AIR. Call Zero Res, 866-ZERO-RES, or online at zerores.com and say you want the KSL special, Zero Res. Spelled backwards or forwards, it's the right way to clean.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
God, I'm so stressed. It's a brand new year and our business is busier than ever.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
If you're trying to decide which gutter protection to put on your home, don't just ask how they'll handle leaves. Ask how they'll handle ice. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and that's right, ice. See, plenty of gutter guards are good at keeping out leaves, but most are made with flimsy materials that can bend, buckle, and break under the weight of too much ice. Kind of a big problem in an icy state like Utah, right? At RGS Exteriors, our exclusive gutter protection systems are built Utah tough. They're made with premium strength materials that hold up to 1,200 pounds of ice per square foot. Simply put, they're not going to budge. Our gutter guards are also certified to handle hurricane-level winds and rain. Mother Nature can't damage them. Guaranteed. Utah Tough Products. That's the RGS way. For a free estimate, call 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com or 801-280-3110.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Do you ever feel like getting your supplies for your CPAP is just a huge headache? Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. We'll say goodbye to the hassle and hello to a stress-free life with our CPAP resupply service. Signing up is a breeze. Just place a call, choose your products, and leave the insurance billing and shipping to us. Our discreet packaging prioritizes your privacy, and we always ensure an on-time delivery. No more trips to the store or worrying about running out of important supplies. We get how crucial your CPAP therapy is, so don't let the stress of keeping up with it affect your sleep and health. Join Alpine Resupply today and enjoy a tranquil night's sleep with all your CPAP essentials. Visit us at alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
That's alpinehomemedical.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, a 12-year-old boy is in the hospital after accidentally setting his leg on fire over the weekend in Hurricane. Police say he used gasoline to help start the fire. Second, one person is dead, one person in the hospital, two being questioned by police after an early morning shooting in Sandy. Third, epidemiologists are tracking a slight uptick in cases of the measles. There's been a surge of cases in the UK and at least one case near Utah in Arizona. Right now it's 30 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic.
Oh, if you forgot about our secret contest over the weekend, no worries. We're going to bring you up to speed on what we're doing. It's exclusively for our podcast listeners. So here's what you need to do. You just go find our podcast on your favorite podcast platform. We podcast our show every day right after the show. You can find it on kslpodcast.com. And then you're going to listen for Dave to tell you something.
Yep, I'll give you a keyword. And then you got to text us at 57500, and you can win a pair of AirPod Pros. We're giving them away all month long, so throughout February. So if you're like, oh, I just missed it last week, don't worry. We're giving them away this week as well.
Right on the money. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Yeah, don't put those AirPod Pros on a credit card. At least do your best to try to win a pair. As many of you admitted in a new Deseret News Hinckley Institute of Politics poll that just came out, you got into some credit card debt over the holidays, and you will not be able to bail yourselves out for at least a year.
That is such a yikes statement. Like, are we aware of what is going on right now? Like, listen, we've always had credit card debt in this country. My entire life I've carried a balance, so I'm not judging anyone too harshly here. I'm there. I've been there. We've all been there. But I think we are having a terrible time right now saying no to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. It's been going on for a long time.
And I think there was a little bit of COVID to blame. Locked away, shut down. We couldn't do anything. And now that we're freed, we are spending. We're spending on experiences. We're spending on stuff. And when you said that full well people are looking at what they spent over the holiday season and realizing it's going to take them an entire year to get back, that is a us problem.
Well, and folks who gave the gifts to won't even remember what you gave them, and you probably won't either by the time it's paid off. That's the sad truth about overspending on the holidays. You said
that's a good little quiz, Deb.
Uh-huh.
I hadn't thought of it that way. Like, go ahead, ask yourself, what did I get my spouse this, and what did they get me? And how many of those things did they, like my wife bought me some clothes. I don't know how many shirts or jackets or pants. I don't remember exactly. I remember, oh yeah, she got me some clothes.
It's momentary joy for long-term financial pain.
It's true.
I'm just going to keep coming at you with these great.
We're on a roll right now, Deb.
These are
financial planner over here.
This is all about mindset change. So let me do this, Dave. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
If I walked into work and I said, and let's say you don't even know me, because I know you would do this for me. You would be running around to the banks this morning. If I came into work and said, hey, I need $500. You just give me $500. Yeah, just give it to me. I don't plan on repaying you.
You don't want to justify it, okay?
Right. No, I just don't. I'm not going to repay you. You're just going to give me $500. That's exactly what we're doing with credit card companies, because we pay such high interest on that debt, and they love us for it. We're just giving away free money. So we're going to work every single day, spending hours and hours and hours, being the best employee we can be, to the point we fall asleep with our mouth wide open, drool coming out of our mouth at 9 o'clock at night. Okay, you know it. And yet you're willingly putting things on a credit card without saying no to yourself, or just explaining to your family, this is not the year for me to go into debt again.
Mm-hmm.
And then spending that $500 you just earned, maybe it's every few months or whatever. It's just an example on that interest. It's just gone. Interest is like, you might as well just drive down I-15 and start throwing money out the window. That's exactly what you're doing. You did not pay $3,000 for that $1,000 television, but you did.
Mm-hmm.
So many of them, we've heard this, many people are blaming it on inflation. That's just what I've heard for the last few years. But as you rightly pointed out just moments ago, we've been doing this since credit cards became a thing.
Yeah.
which is long, long before President Biden took office and inflation went wild. 18% of those polled in this Deseret News Hinckley Institute of Politics poll, Dave, said they went into debt for the holidays. Now, the good news is, you want to look at the good news, 80% said they didn't. So woo, there's a victory for 80%, which is huge. But it's that almost 20% who said, I took out the credit card again.
Now, I see the argument where you say everything else in my life is more expensive because of inflation. I'm sympathetic to that argument because I see that.
Yes.
We have felt that. We're spending an extra $800 or $1,000 a month because of the inflation of the past few years. Now, sure, inflation has slowed down a little bit right now, but that doesn't change the fact that the past 3 years has increased the price of everything, and those have a new price point. That is the new cost of things. So the fact that everyday living is eating up your entire budget, and then the discretionary spending of holidays and gifts, that can only be put on a credit card, I get it. I understand. But instead of saying no to us or ourselves and saying no to giving gifts, or at least a very modest gift, we don't. We keep the standard that we've set for the past several years.
We've talked a lot, Dave, over the years about this debt snowball where you pay off the smallest credit card bill first, and then you use that payment, you apply that payment to the next smallest, and so on and so on. Well, I saw this woman named Lexa. She runs a YouTube channel called Avocado Toast Budget. I'm like, I'm all in. Can you put a little bit of everything but the bagel seasoning on that and serve it up? Yes. In fact, she can. She served it up with this, the avalanche. She calls it the debt avalanche, not the snowball. It's called the avalanche.
What happens with the debt avalanche is that you end up spending less over time and therefore paying off your debt faster because you are getting rid of that high interest debt first. For me, this is what worked. Now, I am one of those people in the personal finance community that really doesn't have a strong opinion either way. Do whatever works for you. As long as it's working for you, that's the one that you should use.
So the debt avalanche goes after the highest interest rate credit card first, not the one with the lowest balance. She says by paying that off first, you save more money in that free money that I just said you were giving away to the credit card companies.
Yeah, I remember talking to Shane Stewart, our financial planner that we tap into here on the show, and he said they've done a lot of research into this about which to do because it makes a lot of sense. Pay off the high interest rate first because it is so onerous. He said ultimately what their research found is you're not seeing much difference. And the psychological change of paying off a small debt first outweighs, if you have $10,000 in credit card debt and you're paying it down at $300 a month, you just don't see huge gains. And you look at it and you're like, oh, I'm still years out from paying this.
Can I give you a different perspective?
Okay.
So I did the credit card calculator just before the show. The average Utahn right now is carrying $6,800 in credit card debt. If you were making $300 a month payments at 29%, by the way, that's kind of the going rate now. Ouch, right? 29% interest. You would pay that off in about 3 years. And the interest that you would just throw out the window is about $2,800 in interest. So if you just leave that high interest credit card alone and you let it marinate there for 3 years before you really start tackling it, that's a lot of money spent on interest. So there's different ways of thinking about it. I think Lexa was hitting on it well in her Avocado Toast Budget podcast, which is do what works best for you. But, maybe the snowball method isn't the best way for you. And that 29% credit card interest rate is really hanging on over your head. And you're like, I just got to get rid of that first. Straight ahead, we're going to get an update on the latest with state school board member Natalie Klein. She's facing growing pressure to resign.
No one should put anyone else's kids' pictures on Facebook, no matter what the issue. That's just not.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. We're still getting big avalanches in Utah's backcountry. Forecaster Dave Kelly says one happened in Mill Creek Canyon.
And that avalanche was 500 feet wide, 5 feet deep, and ran over 2,000 vertical feet, taking out old uphill skin tracks.
Before you go in the backcountry, Kelly says it's important to check conditions and be prepared with avalanche survival gear. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Ad guru Johnny Deutsch sized up this year's Super Bowl ads.
By far, the best one was Duck Kings. I think the fact that you had monster celebrities in it. You had Ben Affleck, you had Matt Damon, you had Tom Brady, and J-Lo, of course. So self-effacing, and I thought Matt Damon actually stole that ad.
More than 100 million people watched the game and the ads. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up 202 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ is up 69. And coming up, it looks like sunshine today. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Maybe it's because they're excited about Leap Day at the end of February. This is Jeff Kaplan. At Advanced Window Products, Leap Day means they get an extra day to build windows. But for you, it's an incredible opportunity. This month, they'll give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. $2,500 off on the highest quality custom window frames and double pane glass. They'll lower your energy bill and give your home an exciting new look. Any style, any color. At Advanced Window Products, you save money because they cut out the middleman. They build your windows right here in Salt Lake City. They install the windows and they guarantee them for life. So beat the rush. Once it gets warmer, their schedule backs up and you have to wait months and months for installation. So make the call and get to the head of the line. Save $2,500 and get custom precision windows built right here in Salt Lake City. Advanced Window Products offers 60-month 0% financing. You can buy now, pay later, but call now. 801-850-9100. 801-850-9100 or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Sometimes when our furnace stops working, it's something simple we can fix ourselves, if we only knew how. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the next time your furnace stops working, before you call a company out to fix it, try this first. Go shut the furnace down and make sure your air filter is clean. Go around the house and make sure the vents are open and there's nothing blocking the return air. If it's been a while since you've changed the batteries in your thermostat, go ahead and do that too. Then go turn the furnace back on, and if it stays on, you're probably good. If it stops working again, you're probably going to want a technician to check it out. If you don't know one, Any Hour Services has a special offer for any homeowners listening. One of our HVAC technicians will diagnose and troubleshoot your furnace for only $29. Then they'll explain what they found and present you with repair options. And don't worry, our technicians service all brands. Call Any Hour Services and let them know you heard about this $29 troubleshooting special on the radio. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Jeff Kaplan. When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is a source of primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Jason Jones.
Accident-free and delay-free. That's how we are rolling right now along the Wasatch Front. Northbound I-15 coming out of Utah County. The accident at the point of the mountain is gone, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. Southbound I-15 in Weber and Davis also looking good. Through the Salt Lake Valley, no trouble there. In and out of Tooele, I-80 and 201. They're moving freely and no problems up into any of your canyons. Call 866-0RES and say you want the KSL special. $33 per room cleaned and $50 off air duct cleaning. Zero Res. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather mostly sunny with highs in the 40s. No serious chance of rain until Thursday. Right now, 32 degrees, partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
We wanted to start this week with an update on State School Board member Natalie Klein. She is facing mounting pressure to resign her seat. This comes after last week's big story broke about her Facebook post and all the comments that sat there until it was deleted that implied a high school girls basketball player is transgender. She is not transgender. So what if Klein doesn't resign?
It has to stop, and we have to be the adults to say, you need to stop, and she should not hold elected office.
Lawmakers are looking into some options this week, Dave.
This will be very interesting to see how this plays out, because it's one thing if you and I cross a line and we say something, our boss can fire us very easy, like boom, boom, right to work state, you're out, Dave. It'd be very easy to do. When it's an elected official, it's far more difficult, and that's what we're seeing right now.
The Utah House of Representatives did open a file to address Klein's actions.
This is playing out in the State House, and the bill file is literally titled The Resolution to Address State School Board Member Natalie Klein. Now, to be clear, this is not an impeachment inquiry. However, it does allow officials to talk about impeachment and other options. At this stage, Klein cannot be removed by the State Board of Education because she is technically an elected official, but Utah law says she can be impeached. However, the process must start with a resolution in the House of Representatives. Hugo Bell, KSL News Radio.
KSL Television's Lindsay Ertz joins us right now. Lindsay, you've been covering this story since the beginning. Can you give us an idea what's the latest?
Yeah, well, Dave and Debbie, good morning. We're kind of waiting for the language of this resolution. As you heard Hugo mention in his report right there, this resolution is vaguely titled. And so what it does is basically you create a resolution, you open a bill file that allows legislative lawyers to go in and craft language and research options and figure out what's constitutional and write it in a way that's constitutional. So what we heard on Friday is that there are a couple of options that lawmakers are looking into. First of all, impeachment is on the table. All options are on the table is what legislative leaders have told us. And additionally, lawmakers are considering possibly giving the power of impeachment to the state school board. So that would look like potentially a bill to vest the power with them, if you will. And I even asked House Speaker Mike Schultz that specifically, do you have that power constitutionally? Because one of the questions was, well, if the power is with the legislature to impeach, can they transfer that power? And he told me directly that, yes, the legislature does have that power. So that's one of the options they're considering as well. The House Speaker mentioned it would not be like an ethics complaint. He said the ethics situation, this wasn't a situation that involved ethics. So it looks like between impeachment and then giving the state school board power, possibly other options are all on the table, but those are kind of some of the specifics they're looking at right now.
I was reading some of the comments that were coming out of the meeting late Friday, and the legislature usually meets with the press, just in a Q&A session for updates. And I read that House Speaker Mike Schultz, I felt like I took this as he was kind of bugged that Klein had put them in this situation to have to deal with this with just limited amounts of time up on Capitol Hill to deal with some pretty big issues over the next few weeks. And I'm going to quote here. He said, the last thing I want to do is deal with this right now, to be quite honest with you. But we have an obligation. It's our job, and we will make the time. Do you get the impression that this will push some other objectives off of the calendar so they have to stop and deal with Natalie Klein and this Facebook post that she put up?
Well, I think what the speaker was referencing there was just like, yeah, this takes time that they don't want to have to deal with in terms of they could be, I don't know that necessarily other legislation will get pushed, but this resolution has to go through the same process that every other resolution does, which means two committees, committee in the House, full vote, committee in the Senate, full vote, right? So it just takes time to get through the process. And it takes time of the committees to gather, to get it on the agenda. You got to have 24 hours, publicly noticed, et cetera. You got to have time to draft the bill language, right? And then that has to come out. So it's just the time that this all takes, I think, is what he was referencing to, and that he did not want to have this be an issue for the rest of the session. Whether or not it'll push other legislation, I'm not sure. But again, it does take lawmakers time.
Sure.
Lindsay, as we've been covering this story, there's no question the post was in such poor taste, so tacky, just and hurtful. It's not illegal, correct?
It's not illegal in terms of does she have free speech to post whatever she wants? Sure, but she's not free from consequences, and so. There could be potential litigation over defamation. So someone could prove that it was, defamatory at the very least. But
and that would be on the civil side, though.
Yeah, that would be civil. As far as criminal, I don't know that anyone's talked about that.
Was there any talk, or have you heard any chatter that, despite the fact that it was in poor taste and it was hurtful, that
it was also wrong. Let me add to that, Dave. It was wrong.
Absolutely.
She was absolutely wrong. She was wrong. That was wrong information or wrong innuendo that ended up catching fire and should not have happened.
Would you leave it up to the voters to make that ultimate decision of whether or not she keeps her job? I think her seat's up at the end of the year. She did win her seat originally by 40 points. Is there any appetite to just say, okay, we'll leave it up to the voters to make this decision?
Well, yeah, I think the House Speaker is actually torn on that issue. In fact, he said as much. When you vote to impeach, you take away the will of the voters. And that is one thing he was wrestling with in terms of if we impeach, that doesn't allow the voters to decide. At the same time, he said we also need to hold elected officials accountable. And he does believe that she violated her oath of office. And he even went so far as to agree with the fact that it rose to the level of malfeasance in office, which is a standard for impeachment. So he clearly sees both sides of the issue. Impeachment would be very severe. And so it's hard to get a sense of whether there's a full appetite for impeachment. I think that lawmakers probably are just thinking through that as judiciously as they can, because it's a slippery slope. If you impeach one person, does this open the standard for the next impeachment? And if we say, okay, we impeached Natalie Klein for this, can we impeach anyone else for anything else they do? It becomes a slippery slope in the mind of some lawmakers.
Any inference or information to suggest she will resign? Because I haven't seen anything that says she's going to resign.
Yeah, what's hard is we can't reach her. It's been hard to get her side of the story on this. However, I talked to 4 different State Board of Education members on Thursday of last week, and pretty much their message was it's doubtful that she'll resign. I think they've worked with her closely, and they know kind of her positions. And they all said to me that it was doubtful that she would resign. But I guess, she's faced a lot of mounting pressure, so anything could happen.
We'll continue to cover it.
Thanks, Linz. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to mention that the Granite School Board held a meeting late last week, and there were the Tribune reported there were about 100 people who filled the room at the Granite School District's Board of Education, and also in support of this child who ended up being bullied on Facebook by a whole group of adults that piled on. It was horrible. And I was glad to see that so many community members came out in support of the family and this child who plays girls' high school basketball, who absolutely was wronged by a school board member. In my view, on her Facebook page, it was just just nothing. That should have never have ever happened. And my heart also went out over the weekend. And when this started happening to this child, absolutely horrible.
And just a reminder that Natalie Klein, who made that original post, she did remove the post and apologize several times in subsequent posts.
A new poll shows Americans think both Trump and Biden are just too old for another term.
America can do better than two 80-year-olds for president.
Oh, but odds are we're going to vote for them anyway. Next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to kslnewsradio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
The battle at the border intensifies.
Curtis was shocked to find out how much control cartels have.
And Utah's Governor Cox is sending some help.
Soldiers will be heading south toward the end of the month.
Get breaking details with Tim and Amanda mornings 5 to 9 and the latest updates with Jeff Kaplan afternoons 3 to 7.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Hey guys, let me tell you about Salt Lake Fat Loss. SaltLakeFatLoss.com is a program that I just started. I'm about 2 weeks in, and when I first started learning about this, they said, hey, listen, many clients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two. And I thought, 20 to 30 pounds, that sounds great. Sign me up. And that's what I did. So I got on their program, and you're not going to believe this. I've lost 21 pounds in 2 weeks. That was incredible. I was expecting like a month or two to get down to 20-something pounds. I'm down 21 pounds, 22 pounds, depends on this morning's scale, but in 2 weeks. And the program is no counting points. And we've done that, right? Who hasn't done that? No counting points, no exercise, no prepackaged meals. You'll actually learn how to cook healthy meals, and no surgery, no injections. So if you're interested, go to Salt Lake or slcfatloss.com. You can get a free consultation in person or virtually. So give them a try like I did. 801-450-1882. That's 801-450-1882 or saltlakefatloss.com.
At Shane Company, we believe we're all made to shine. This Valentine's Day, celebrate the love of your life, your best friend, or your best self with unique fine jewelry from Shane Company. We're passionate about sourcing the most beautiful and vibrant gemstones from around the world so everyone can shine bright. We take the time to ensure each piece of jewelry is expertly crafted so it can be treasured forever. Visit Shane Company and discover Valentine's Day gifts for everyone, your new crush or your soulmate. Let them know how much you care with fine jewelry designed by us, guaranteed for life, for free. Radiant red rubies, pink sapphires, diamond hearts, gorgeous jewelry with all the colors and symbols of love. This Valentine's Day, give a necklace with a gemstone as special as your love, a gold ring engraved with a date you'll never forget, earrings that make their eyes sparkle. Give a gift that was made to shine. Shane Company. Fine jewelry since 1929.
With interest rates coming back down, I bet the real estate market will pick back up in 2024. We're already seeing that, Tim.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter how the market is doing when you have the right team. So if you're looking to sell your house, now you want to downsize or you need more space, you need the Stern team.
The Stern team has taught us, I can think of a handful of things that I would worry about if I was buying or selling, but there are 100 details that are involved in selling a home, and they have lots of people that are handling every detail so nothing falls through the cracks.
And they have so many different options. I mean, I worked with Cammie there at the Stern team, and she was awesome. But if you need an instant cash offer, you can do that. If you need to buy before you sell, you can do that. They have flexible fees.
They also have people that they represent that are looking to buy a home, so maybe they can make that perfect connection within the Stern team.
So don't put off selling your house or buying a house because you think the market isn't just right. The market is right with the Stern team.
Go online to sternteam.com or just Google the Stern team.
The Utah Department of Health and Human Services wants to make sure people in Utah can live safe and healthy lives. To do that, they need to understand what services people can access in their communities and what barriers they face to accessing services where they live. For this survey, they want to hear from people in Utah, specifically people older than 60. adults with disabilities of any kind, or caregivers and service providers of older people or adults with a disability. The results will be sent to the Division of Aging and Adult Services so they can better meet the needs of people across the state of Utah. Take this survey at utahcommunitysurvey.com or by calling 800-293-1538, extension 1610. All information will remain anonymous. Again, that's utahcommunitysurvey.com or 800-293-1538, extension 1610. 800-293-1538, extension 1610.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bonas. First, a big slide in Mill Creek Canyon points up the avalanche danger in Utah's mountains right now. Second, what could have been a mass shooting at a church in Houston was stopped by 2 off-duty officers. Third, an ad expert says Dunkin' Donuts was the best of the Super Bowl ads. Right now, 32 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
David Dujanovic, America's top political story. Special coverage with David Dujanovic.
86% of Americans in a new poll think that President Biden is too old to run for office for a second term.
Let that sink in. Almost 90% of Americans think he's too old. That's incredible.
60% almost also think Donald Trump is too old. This according to a new ABC News Ipsos poll. So we have the majority of Americans think that both guys who might be top of the ticket, probably will be top of their tickets, are too old, Dave.
Not surprised. We've talked about this a lot of times. I think what surprises me is that 90% of Americans think that Joe Biden is too old, but they'll vote for him anyway. If he is the candidate, if he's the nominee, they will still vote for him. Back in 2020, he was 78 years old, 77 years old. And 81 million Americans still voted for him. Like, what's the difference between 77 and 81? There's not that much difference. It's not a night and day difference, but they still voted for him because we don't really care about the person. We care about the party.
Here's what Nikki Haley's been saying on the campaign trail.
America can do better than 2 80-year-olds for president.
You know, I don't know, Nikki. I mean, we're trying. Does it sound like ageism, though? When I say, I don't know, or Nikki Haley says, oh, we can do better.
America can do better than 2 80-year-olds for president.
We've been trying that. In fact, she's nowhere near the age of 80, and she's not doing so hot right now on the campaign trail when it comes to the primaries and the caucuses.
Yeah, just look at what happened in Nevada, where Nikki Haley lost to none of these candidates. That was literally a box on the ballot. It said none of these candidates, and she lost 62 to 30. 62% of people said none of these candidates. And then when they had the caucus with Donald Trump this past week, he won 99% of the vote. So yeah, Donald Trump is rolling.
I think it's one of the hardest things for folks to do. And the timeline of life, I think as a woman, it's even probably harder than birthing a baby, is to look in the mirror and say, I'm too old for this, and mean it. Not just like in passing, I'm just too old for, no, like to really look in the mirror and say, I no longer have the capacity that my company needs, America needs to run this place anymore. And it's time for me to take a step back. And some of you might say, well, it's better if they keep their mind going. Well, not on America's dime. Not when it comes to the, safety of Americans and the big decisions that have to be made in the Oval Office. There's a reason there is a retirement age. Okay. We have, in the cases where there isn't a retirement age, like with Social Security, there's a retirement age, right? What is it, 64 for me? It's probably 70 for you.
But it's not mandatory.
No, it's not mandatory, but you get penalized if you keep working at your same pay in the workforce. You can't collect your maximum Social Security. So I feel like we've got a situation where grandpas are not admitting that they're just too old to do it anymore. And President Biden was outed last week for his memory issues by special counsel Robert Hur in that long report that cleared him from criminal charges with those classified documents, but it definitely outed him when it comes to his memory. He couldn't remember within several years of when his son Beau had passed away from brain cancer. By the way, Beau died of brain cancer in 2015, and Biden was angry.
I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business.
Okay, so he's blaming the question. He's blaming the questioner. How about when they were talking to him about these documents and he said, well, back in 2009, and he asked, he's like, was I still vice president then? 2009 was your first year as vice president. Yeah, you were still vice president. You were looking at another 4 years, and 8 in total. So it wasn't just the Beau thing. There were several instances in that report where his memory seemed to be failing.
But have we all had these conversations or needed to have these conversations with grandma and grandpa? And we just, as a family, don't.
It's awkward.
It's awkward. We don't do it. We just let them keep driving until they run over fire hydrants and kitty cats in the road. You know, I mean, we just let them continue to live on their own until they have a horrible fall. And we find out later that the fall didn't break their hip, but their hip broke before the fall. And that's how come they fell, which is quite often the case. So we have a difficult time as Americans admitting that, I think in large part because we don't know what the next is. Like, okay, so you are no longer capable of driving. So that means I have to drive you. Or we have to hook you up with an Uber app and hope that everything is safe. Like you don't end up Ubering to, Canada by accident. So I think that's a large part why we don't have these conversations. But we've got to have this. We've got to be honest. We cannot just pick party over age, in my view.
There are jobs, even in the government, where there are mandatory retirement ages. The air traffic controllers, they have a mandatory retirement age. Pilots, they have a mandatory retirement age. But we don't do this for politicians because who's making the laws? Old politicians. So it's very difficult. You said sometimes we have a hard time looking at ourselves in the mirror and admitting to ourselves we're too old to be doing something.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? I just had one of those moments. I went on one of those surf wave things with my kids. Where you like got to stand up and you try to surf. Yeah. I may have fallen pretty hard and messed up my shoulder. It's fine. It's not great.
You think it was because of your age? Like, this is something you could have done
I'm way too old to be trying to
25,
surf at 50 years old. Right? I'm too old to be doing that stuff. And it was a realization like, I can't do that anymore. As fun as it is, as much as I want to be with the kids, there are certain things that, I can't play basketball like I used to because the knees and the ankles just don't hold up. We have a hard time admitting that until something bad happens. Until I blow out an ACL or I tear my shoulder.
Well, and for me, it was, I used to be rabid at working out, like literally every single day, tough workouts, like CrossFit workouts, sometimes twice a day, until about 6 months ago. And I played tennis my entire life growing up until I was in my mid-20s and competitively too. So I was a pretty good tennis player, never had tennis elbow. But what I discovered in doing burpees and sandbag cleans and, pull-ups and push-ups, all those things, is I developed tennis elbow to the point where I could not even make my bed in the morning. You think, you make your bed in the morning? Yes, I make my bed in the morning, every morning, because I love coming home to a homemade bed. It's all made. I love it. I couldn't even lift the sheet. I could hardly write. And it was tendonitis in my elbow, something I'd never had in my youth, playing tennis all of those years. but I had discovered that I, was doing way too many burpees and all those other crazy things. So I changed to Zumba. And I do that several times a week now, and I love it. But I had to have a face-to-face conversation with myself in the mirror and say, like, it's time to stop flopping around like a fish on the mat at the gym. Doing all those burpees. It's just time to stop.
So we all agree, and this is what's wild about this poll. We all agree that Biden specifically is too old to run again. But we're still going to vote for him. Or some people are, right?
Or Trump.
Or somebody's going to vote for these, guys in their late 70s, early 80s. So my question, and I want to take phone calls on this. Are we so convinced that we have to vote for the party or the policy that we don't care who the person is? Do you vote policy or do you vote person? 801-575-TALK. 801-575-TALK.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour, Utah's Home Buyers Assistance Program has helped about 500 first-time home buyers make their first down payments. Many of these were on duplexes and condominiums. State-funded program still has $38 million to help qualified buyers. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, the shooting at Joel Osteen's megachurch in Houston left a woman dead and a 5-year-old boy in the hospital. ABC's Jim Ryan.
The 2 p.m. Sunday service at Lakewood Church is conducted in Spanish. Pastor Jorge Basabe had just begun the live stream. Gunshots are heard and people are seen running behind Basabe.
A woman suspected of bringing a gun into the church was shot and killed by off-duty officers. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day now, 188 points. The NASDAQ is up about 49 points right now. And we'll see sunshine for the next couple of days. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:31. News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Hi, Cindy Olsen here to tell you about the National Embroidery Month sale at Dave's Bernina in Provo and St. George, featuring a limited time 48 months no interest offer. Buy a specially priced Bernina 790 Pro or 590E machine and receive a free embroidery accessory and software gift bundle worth $3,500. Full feature Burnett sewing machines are as low as $1,499. That includes free software, a $1,200 value. All machines are discounted, such as the Bernina 500E for $1,999 and a hot deal of $2,999 for the Bernina 700E. 25% off embroidery hoops and Bernina embroidery bundle and modules. All new Berninas come with a 5-year warranty and free classes. Hurry in for amazing bargains on previously loved machines at Dave's Bernina, 2017 North, 550 West in Provo and 691 East St. George Boulevard.
If you're on the journey of building your dream home, remodeling, or just want to brighten up some rooms, let the Blind Man be your tour guide into the possibilities 2024 has to offer. Window coverings balance functionality and aesthetics by managing light and privacy effortlessly. Whether you seek a captivating design element, enhanced privacy, light blocking solutions, or an infusion of natural light, the Blind Man's consultants are here to navigate you through the latest trends, tailoring them to complement your unique style. Motorized and automated roller shades have emerged as the preferred choice in 2024. This is driven by features such as the convenience they provide for hard-to-reach windows, providing safety for both children and pets, and contributing to energy efficiency. The Blind Man's experts would love to help you explore the options along your journey. Visit theblindman.com today to set up a free in-home consultation. Theblindman.com.
From Ogden to St. George, Utah's premier window covering provider, The Blind Man.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and I'm proud to tell you we don't lay off employees when things get tough. During the pandemic, we didn't let one of our installers go. Instead, we had them clean and remodel our offices so they could still get paid. Remember the 2008 housing crisis? It was a financial nightmare for even the biggest contractors. Still, we didn't lay off a single worker. Nope. We sacrificed profits to keep paying everyone. Look, when the economy's down, most contractors are quick to lay off their workers. It's the easiest way to save money when times get tight. But at RGS Exteriors, we're loyal to our people. You know why? Because it's the right thing to do. People first. People always. That's the RGS way. For gutters, siding, windows, and more, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com, 801-280-3110.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Jason Jones.
It's a clean drive right now along the Wasatch Front, northbound I-15 out of Utah County, around the point of the mountain, looking good. Also southbound coming out of Weber and Davis, and through the Salt Lake Valley. You're not finding any accidents or any delays anywhere. If you're headed I-80 up to Park City, that's also smooth sailing, and likewise I-80 and 201 in from Tooele and out to Tooele for that matter, also moving smoothly along. No problems in any of your side streets or canyons. For a limited time, open a 9-month certificate from Cyprus Credit Union and get 5.6% APY. Learn more at any branch or visit cypruscu.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, mostly sunny and seasonable with highs in the 40s. No chance of rain until Thursday. And right now, we're looking 34 degrees and partly cloudy skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. America's top political story. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
We say that 86% of Americans think President Biden is too old to run for a second term, and nearly 60% also think that Trump is too old, according to a new poll. Dave and I pointed out it's hard to admit that you're too old. I figured out I was too old to continue to do burpees and pull-ups at the gym when I got tennis elbow for the first time in my life, not too long ago. And Dave was surfing when he flipped off backwards, and then a couple of weeks later noticed he still had an owie.
My shoulder's not working.
From you flipped off the wrong way.
Yeah, I landed hard, and it was one of those indoor surfing things, and it was one of the few times I think that I've realized, I'm too old to be doing this. There's other things I can do, but too old for this.
Kids probably think that too, and don't want to say anything to you.
Probably.
I'm going to guess. I think that's true.
They think I'm fun, Dad.
Fun dad. But I think it is hard for anybody to tell somebody that they're too old to do something. Although the polls are certainly telling both Trump and Biden that most Americans feel they're too old to serve another term.
Yeah, Democrats and Republicans. That's an important part of it. Now, I was watching Bill Maher on HBO, and he had somebody on. He was a rapper, Killer Mike. Anyway, and he was asking him about the upcoming election. Now, Mike is a Democrat, and he was asking, well, can you get behind Joe Biden? And he couldn't bring himself to say, yeah, I'm getting behind Joe Biden. And he explained the way he was looking at the election in this way. And I thought it was fascinating because it really brings up the question we're asking. Do you vote for the person or do you vote for the policy?
Pick your policy, not your person. Find out. This is not the Dallas Cowboys versus your favorite team. This is the policies that will affect our generations for the next 20, 30, 40 years to come. So close your eyes, listen to the policies that are being pushed, and pay attention even to the people who don't have a chance of winning, because they're going to say policies you may want to push. And I would say do that, but make it policy-based.
Do you buy this? Are you in? We're taking your phone calls, 801-575-TALK. Do you pick the policy and not the person when you're electing somebody?
Let's go with John in North Salt Lake. Hi, John. You there?
Yes.
Hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
I don't think age should be a factor in a politician. They shouldn't be ineligible based on age. For example, Joe Biden is not too old to be president. He just has early stages of dementia, and that's obvious to most people, but he should not, it's not an age thing. And Donald Trump, same thing, he's old, but he doesn't have dementia. He just has some personality that people don't like. But I think you should let people vote for who they want to vote for and make the decision.
Well, Donald Trump has been saying, thanks so much, John, has been saying such wild stuff lately that I don't know what to make of his cognitive abilities, although he has called for cognitive tests.
I've called for cognitive tests. I actually think anybody running for president should have tests. I think, and I pass them every time.
He passes them. Again, part of what's difficult about this is we don't have a good benchmark. We don't have a good baseline of how to determine somebody's mental capacity and who's going to take that, especially if you're a 70, 80-year-old, 90-year-old politician. We have 90-year-old politicians. Looking at you, Chuck Grassley. We just don't know. Okay, well, if you don't pass the test, you get removed immediately.
Yeah.
Like it's a tricky area.
There's a lot of layers to it. We're oversimplifying the complicated. But I think you've raised a good question. Do you pick the person over the policy? 801-575-TALK. Rich from Taylorsville. Hi, Rich.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
You there?
Yeah, we're here.
Good. Hey, good. So here's the concern I have, and also concerning the last caller about the dementia. You know, the president deals with a lot of things other than policy, and he needs to be able to function and deal with what he needs to and not forget. My father's going through something similar to that, and he's not able to function with things like he should, and he's in the beginning stages. And it would be scary to have somebody in charge that's dealing with something like that, even though Biden's just being kind of a puppet, you know. But how do you deal with
Does it feel like that
that
his staff is puppeteering of some of this
Oh,
with
yeah.
him? Yeah,
Oh,
does
yeah.
it feel like that to you? Yeah.
For sure. You can tell he's not remembering things. You can tell he's kind of just reading and kind of going with the flow. You know,
Well,
so you have all these people that want to. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say you're not alone. I mean, this poll is it condemns the president's mental state more than anything. He said 86% of Americans think President Biden is too old to run for a second term. You're not alone, and this is Republicans and Democrats. Thank you for the call. We appreciate you. 801-575-TALK. We're taking your phone calls, and here's the problem I have with the idea that I'm voting for policy over the person. Listen, I absolutely pay more attention to somebody's policy than their personality, but you can't extricate that. You can't separate the person from the policy in my estimation, because if the person is untrustworthy, if I can't trust that person, if I think they're a bad person for lack of a better word, then how can I trust that they're going to be honest with the policy that I agree with?
Hey, that's a great point. It goes deeper than just what they say in the microphone. You want to make sure that they're going to do the right thing behind the scenes when we're not looking.
Yeah.
Georgia from Sandy, we've got time to squeeze your phone call in.
Okay, I'll hurry. I'm very passionate about this topic because I've always thought that they need to put limits on somebody's age. It isn't just whether or not they're mentally capable, but they also have to be physically capable to run a country. It takes a lot of energy. And I felt like if they passed a bipartisan bill saying you can't run after the age, this problem would be solved. Half of the country doesn't like Trump. Half the country doesn't like Biden because they feel he's too old. Then neither of them could run if they had a policy saying after a certain age, you just can't run to be the leader of the free world.
Georgia, thank you. No, and we do have minimum age requirements. We say you can't be president unless you're at least 40 years old. So do we put some bookends on this. Say you can't run till you're 40 and then you're done by 65. So you've got to fall within that 20-year timeline to run for president. Is that the litmus test? Is that the limit that we want? I'm not sure. I would like to think that we are responsible enough as voters to be able to see somebody, and I'm not speaking just to Joe Biden here, but see somebody that is clearly unfit and make that estimation and say, even though they're part of my team, even though they're a Democrat or a Republican, I'm still not going to vote for them because they, the person, are unfit. But we don't do that because we cheer for teams. We don't cheer for individuals.
Next, we're celebrating Valentine's Week with a serious discussion about financial infidelity in your marriage. If you've been cheated on financially, your spouse has gone out and opened a bunch of credit cards without you knowing about it, or wasn't paying the bills like they said they were. Oh, we're going to tell you the secrets to fixing your marriage after financial infidelity. Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to fix the marriage next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
When was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it really deserves? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the biggest air filter in your home. If your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you're breathing in all sorts of nasty dirt, dander, and germs that keep recirculating again and again. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home with their February special. Don't think vacuuming or DIYing will suffice. Call the pros. Zero Res has over 7,400 Google reviews with a 4.8 rating. This month, it's $33 per room cleaned, plus a fourth room free with promo code 4FREE24. And don't forget about your air ducts. Take $50 off your air duct cleaning with promo code CLEAN-AIR. Call Zero Res, 866-ZERO-RES, or online at zerores.com and say you want the KSL special, Zero Res. Spelled backwards or forwards, it's the right way to clean.
Jeff Kaplan here. Every once in a while, I do my show from home, and you probably wouldn't be able to tell. I'm on KSL and sending video to the internet all at the same time because I have Xfinity Wi-Fi. It's pretty amazing because at the same time my wife's streaming a movie, grandkids come over, one's watching YouTube, two are playing Minecraft, and others watching a flick, all while Grandma says, "Shh, Papa's on the air." We run all these devices, and I do a show thanks to my reliable, fast connection. Xfinity Wi-Fi is a game changer. Get wall-to-wall Wi-Fi on the Xfinity 10G network for a reliable connection throughout your home. Now through March 21st, new customers can get started with 1.2 gigabit internet for $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add unlimited mobile. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply to Internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
Bish's is skipping this year's big RV show for a big reason. It costs each dealer a fortune. And guess who gets stuck with the bill? Yep, you. So skip the big show expense and come to the Bish's Better Than Show pricing event for free admission, free parking, and Better Than Show pricing on new and used RVs. Only at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, February 12th through the 17th and President's Day. Better pricing's big, but better selection? That's huge. Instead of spending your money to see a handful of models hauled to the show, you're getting Better Than Show pricing on our entire inventory of new and used RVs. You'll find pricing as low as $140 per month on approved credits, plus clearance pricing on all remaining new 2023s. You'll also make 0 payments until May on approved credit and get generous trade-in offers on your current RV. Start shopping now at skipthervshow.com. Better brands, bigger selection, lower than show pricing, and free admission? Why settle? Come to the Better Than Show pricing event at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, February 12th through the 17th and President's Day. Bish's RV, where memories begin. Stock number 73504 and 76976. Based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it,
Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions.
Jackson Hewitt, yeah!
Jackson Hewitt is so sure they'll get you your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
Jackson Hewitt, yeah!
Switch to Jackson Hewitt and we'll beat what you paid last year, even if you filed online. Ain't nothing to it. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and pay less for tax prep, guaranteed. Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bonas. First, there's still money left in a state program meant to help first-time home buyers. Second, 2 off-duty police officers stopped what could have been a mass shooting at a church in Houston. And third, the family of a woman murdered by her husband is suing Delta Airlines. They say he was served too much alcohol. Right now, 34 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hey, just a reminder, it's secret contest time. This could be a great gift if you win those AirPod Pros. It's a secret podcast contest exclusively for our podcast listeners. So Dave's going to tell you what you need to do.
It's so easy. Go to kslpodcast.com. Go to the Dave and Dujanovic podcast. And then in between our segments, you'll hear me and Debbie talk, and I'll give you a keyword. You take that keyword, you send it to 57500, and you're entered in to win a pair of AirPod Pros, the good ones.
Right on the money. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, it's Valentine's week, so we thought we'd talk about something related to financial infidelity in our relationships. Because it's important to try to patch it together if you can. Now, I'm not saying it's possible. If somebody has 100 credit cards and they've stolen your identity, to open up those credit cards, probably not something you want to repair. I mean, you probably want to sever ties. But if you are in a relationship with somebody who's keeping maybe one or two or a few financial secrets from you, is there a way to salvage that, Dave?
It's a great question because really we're talking about trust. And I think
that's a good point.
More than anything, trust can be violated in a million different ways. It can be violated financially, through relationships, extramarital affairs. There's so many ways you can violate trust. Financially is especially painful because it hits you right in the pocketbook, right? I mean, and this kind of thing can carry on for years and years and years. You could be paying the consequences. If you have a spouse that racks up tens of thousands of dollars of debt, then you could be paying that off for years. So it's a constant reminder that you betrayed my trust.
Well, it would hit me in the heart. Then it would hit me in the pocketbook. It would hit me in the heart. I would be heartbroken if I found out somebody was off. It was, opening up credit cards. But there's different kinds of financial infidelity besides just running around and opening up credit cards and spending on them. 30% of these secrets include spending more than your spouse or partner would be okay with. 23%.
Check.
Yeah. 23%. It was like, say, holding any amount of secret debt would, is hurtful.
How about a secret savings account? Does that count?
Well, that's part of the survey here.
Okay.
So 20% say having a secret savings account. And I don't know how I feel about that. I'd be like, oh, that's awesome in some regards, but in others, it'd be like, why were you keeping that from me? Do you not trust me?
Right.
What were you going to go do with that money? Were you going to spend it on something special for us and the family? Or were you going to, run away with your significant other that I didn't know you had?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that went dark. But that's kind of where the mind goes, right?
It escalates quickly.
Okay.
And when it comes to love, things escalate quickly. Ted Rossman, Bankrate Senior Industry Analyst. So help us save these relationships. Can you?
Yes, I do think that people are generally very forgiving about these sort of things, but I think the longer the secret goes on, the more it takes on a life of its own. I really would urge people to communicate honestly and openly about money. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but one recommendation would be to set up a money date with your spouse once a month, and you talk about upcoming bills, but you also talk about goals, buying a house, getting out of debt, saving for retirement, things like that. I feel like when you're aligned on the goals, then you're pulling in the same direction, and it's not so much of, oh, we have a budget so that we can say no to all this kind of spending.
Money date sounds amazing. It usually turns into fight night. It's difficult to have the conversation because we may not be coming at it from, the same spot.
That's a valid point. Yeah. I think another approach that I think factors into your question is the yours, mine, and ours idea. So this may be a way to head off some of the fights. You combine a lot of your money because you have a lot of joint financial expenses, but you each carve out some money that's yours and yours alone. The key is you have to agree on the parameters. So let's say you and your spouse agree that you each have $100 a paycheck that's yours and yours alone. When you do it that way, then you have more independence over spending on certain hobbies and nights out with friends and things like that. So your spouse can't second guess, like, wait, you bought what and how much did you spend? As long as you've agreed what goes into that account, I think then you can spend it, no questions asked. That might be a way to be independent within the relationship.
We're talking about financial infidelity in relationships with Ted Rossman. He's a Bankrate Senior Industry Analyst, giving us pro tips on how to, mend fences when you find out your significant other has been financially cheating on you. I mean, what is the most egregious point in your view where you feel like, Ted, this is just not something that can be repaired?
Sometimes you do hear sad stories, sometimes relating to addiction or things like that. Sometimes people have run up substantial amounts of secret debt. I really do think that the best approach is to just be honest and communicative, even if there's something in your past that you're not really proud of, like you spent too much or you took on too much debt or whatever it is. I do think people are mostly forgiving and you want to work together on it. What's harmful, though, is when the secret festers for a long time and then the other person's wondering, well, what else am I missing? Because they may find out at some point. Maybe you're applying for joint credit and it shows up on a credit report or a statement arrives in the mail. I don't think you can hide from it forever. I do think it's better to be forthcoming, the sooner the better.
Ted, thanks for joining us. Ted Rossman, Bankrate Senior Industry Analyst.
So like when an IRS lien shows up in the mail, that could be a hint that maybe taxes weren't getting paid. Or the bank forecloses on your home. It could be a hint that your significant other you thought was paying off, or making your mortgage payments hasn't actually been making those mortgage payments and instead is pocketing the money.
You found some very good tips of how to deal with this, but I wanted to add this little nugget here before you give us some of the solutions. But more than 1 in 3 say that financial infidelity is at least as bad as physical infidelity. That, I guess I don't see that. I think the physical infidelity is far worse. But the fact that a third of people think it's just as bad physical infidelity as physical infidelity.
But they both trail back to trust.
Yes.
So the root of both, or the issue with both, is we can't. How do we trust you? How do we trust you from here on out? Ted gave us some great tips on how to start repairing that. A lot of people say they just don't talk about finances because they're embarrassed. You got to get over that. Like there's things in life you can be embarrassed about, but you got to get over the embarrassment of just financial situation and just sit down and have a heart-to-heart conversation about it with the person you love the most. They don't trust their partner with money is another reason. Mm-hmm. Like they don't want to talk about money because they don't trust the other person. Well, then if you don't trust your partner with money, then you're in the wrong relationship. You're just in the wrong relationship.
And you can earn this. I think you can earn trust. One of the suggestions I saw was come to a consensus on money goals, and to get a mediator if needed. Let's figure out, what are we saving for? What are we moving toward? And then if you need a third-party person, and whether that's a marriage counselor or a financial counselor, they can walk you through and kind of explain and be that mediator. I hadn't thought about that, but that might be a perfect time to reach out for some third-party help.
Next, it was the day before the big game, and Senator Mike Lee wasn't preparing Super Bowl snacks in the kitchen. No, it was a 4-hour-long speech against funding in the Ukraine war.
I think all of us would like to see Ukraine just win. We can't wish it into existence. We can't just dump enough money into it to make it happen.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomis. KSL's top story this hour. The family of a woman run over and killed by her drunk husband is suing Delta for serving him alcohol when he was already under the influence.
The business overserves someone alcohol, knowing that they could be impaired or that they could cause a risk to other people, that business could be held civilly responsible for the people that they hurt.
That's KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas. He adds there's no money amount requested by the family. The airline disputes the claim but won't comment about ongoing litigation. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Israeli Defense Forces say they used intense firepower early Monday morning in an operation that freed 2 hostages held since October 7th. ABC's James Longman.
Israel relieved that 2 hostages have been rescued. They were reunited with their families at the hospital. A number of them had also been taken hostage, released in earlier hostage negotiations. So a happy day for them. But clearly for so many more families, more than 100 hostages remain in Gaza. It's still a very, very worrying time.
The Gaza Health Authority, run by Hamas, says 100 Palestinians were killed in the fighting. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average is up on the day, 212 points right now. The NASDAQ is up 66. We have sunshine for the next couple of days. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the 9s, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
It's game time, and you're in the locker room ready to take the field. Suddenly, you notice a player you don't recognize. He's wearing your team's jersey, and he even knows your name, but you've never seen him before until now. Would you trust this stranger with your team's playbook? Because that's exactly how phishing scams work. The first quarter of 2022 saw the highest volume of phishing attacks ever recorded. Protect your business with the Les Olson Security Suite from Les Olson IT. Learn more about it at lesolson.com.
Tonight on KSL, if you choose not to tip, you could pay the price. I was like, wow. KSL investigator Matt Gephardt digs into the new push to get your gratuity before any work is done.
You've already got the money. Does it change your motivation to hustle?
See how it's attracting workers.
0 tip. I was pretty much working for charity.
But at what cost to you?
It's really run amok sometimes.
What to consider before you fall into the pre-tip trap tonight at 10.
When you choose Performance Automotive in Bountiful, you're choosing selection, convenience, and exceptional service. 4 locations: Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, Performance Toyota, and Ford Truck Country. All dedicated to delivering you the best auto experience anywhere. Looking for your first car? Maybe you want rugged power or the stylish ride of your dreams. New or used. See it all at PerformanceBountiful.com. PerformanceBountiful.com.
The life of a small business owner. Keeping the lights on, calling all the shots. And then there's workplace accidents. 500-degree ovens, rusty nails. Danger lurks around every corner. Workplace accidents can happen, but there is an easy way to keep your employees covered. Talk to your agent about workers' comp coverage from Pi, or go to piinsurance.com and get a quote. Safety first, then Pi Insurance. Individual rates, offerings, and savings may vary, subject to policy terms and conditions. Not available in all states and situations.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. Don't miss Cold's new Season 3, where I look into the unsolved disappearance of Cherie Warren, a woman last seen leaving her job at a Salt Lake City office in 1985. Police cast suspicion on Cherie's estranged husband and boyfriend, but never made any arrests or recovered Cherie's remains. Find Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meeks.
We do have a crash in Provo Canyon. This is southbound Highway 189 at Vivian Park. It's going to be blocking a right lane of travel going through the tunnel. Call 866-0RES and say you want the KSL special. $33 per room cleaned and $50 off air duct cleaning. 0RES. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, mostly sunny, highs in the 40s, no serious chance of rain until Thursday. And right now, 34 degrees, partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
All right, replace your windows and doors without the hassle or baloney. Call Window World of Utah today.
Dave and Dujanovic have inside sources.
Well, there was a plan to address both border security and Ukraine funding, but that died last week in the Senate. And Senator Mike Lee wasn't going to let that go without filibustering for 4 hours this weekend talking about this issue.
It was kind of a strange thing. Number one, the filibuster in general is kind of a little oddity that we have in this country, where you can just stand up in front and no one can do anything until you're done talking. You can just stand up there, talk as long as you want, whether it's 1 hour, 4 hours, or 24 hours. You get to stand. You get to own that podium and speak as long as you want. Boyd Matheson joins us right now. Boyd, you, when you were working back in Washington, you were chief of staff to Senator Mike Lee. Did you ever go through a marathon?
Yeah, we did one that was over, I think, close to 20 hours. It was like a long one. This one that happened over the weekend was very different. Speaking for 4 hours on a Saturday isn't really slowing down the progress in terms of what's actually happening on the Senate floor. But I think the points, this is one of those where we, again, whether you love what Senator Lee's doing and as it relates to immigration and Ukraine, or you hate what he's doing with immigration and Ukraine, you have to separate all of that out in terms of what are the issues at play, what is he actually complaining about or talking about or trying to negotiate on. That's what this is really about. And so the first part is really the process piece of this. So Debbie teed things up talking about border and Ukraine funding. That went down in the Senate, and it wasn't close. All the Republicans banded together, and so there was no chance, so that was going to move forward. The next thing that's come up now is this smaller aid package, just Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan funding. And the promise, and this is one of the things that always happens in Washington, the leaders of both parties, so Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, go to the members and say, we're going to give you an amendment process. You'll have time to read the bill. We'll do regular order, whenever you hear that term, regular order. And what the senator is complaining about in this, or protesting, is the process, that there really isn't any amendment process that's going to be made to the members of either side of either Democrats or Republicans. It's those that were in the room where it happened, behind closed doors, saying, here's the deal, up or down vote.
If you're just joining us and you didn't hear our 9 o'clock hour when we were playing sound from Senator Mike Lee on the floor, filibustering for almost 4 hours. I think it was a good 3 hours and 45 minutes. over speaking, and he was speaking out against the Ukraine funding. Let's listen to some of it now so we can sort of reset for our listeners what Senator Mike Lee was up to back in D.C. this weekend.
This is why we're $34 trillion in debt, by the way. This is why we're now swimming in a sea not only of that $34 trillion in debt, which soon is going to be producing enough in interest payments alone to swallow up other priorities, including priorities that only we can take care of, like national defense. We cannot say, not credibly, not honestly, that we just inherited this, yeah, shucks, there's nothing we can do about it. We know that's absurd. We know that's not true. We know that's not true because the rules themselves give us protection against that. And so I say, I implore, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, but especially if you're a Republican, and especially if you're a Republican, any of the Republicans who I think all of us said we should use this as an opportunity to force border security, to harness what support there is behind providing additional assistance to Ukraine, to force security of the border with an administration bent on the opposite of that.
And boy, there was that bill. There was a bipartisan bill that failed last week, hitting the very things that Senator Lee was talking about.
Yeah, and so if you, again, got to unpack everything, it's all in the nuance pieces here. And that's why these things should be done one at a time. I think part of the reason that the senator was saying, hey, we've got to do the border bill, we do need to do a border bill. And he's making the case we should do a border bill before we deal with Ukraine or Israel. But he's saying we should have a border bill, not just negotiated by 3 senators, but all 100 senators should be involved in that process, which there wasn't. There wasn't a markup in judiciary. There was no chance to offer amendments. It was the 3, one Republican, one independent, and one Democrat, got behind closed doors and did the deal. And so that should be, and I'm good with that. I like those kinds of things as the beginning point. But then you got to put it on the floor and let the other 97 senators have a portion of that process. And that's, to me, why it's so important that we get these back to single bill. We should have a border discussion and a bill and get that done. We should have a conversation about Ukraine and really getting to the core issues there of what are we funding. I think that's an important thing. If we're just doing things that are towards government funding of Ukraine and so on, as opposed to military things that are built in America, employ Americans, I think that's a different kind of thing. And then this whole little issue of the $34 trillion in debt. So to me, there's 3 different things that happen. Easy to conflate them all into one filibuster speech and say this was just a protest. But if you unpack it and look at the nuances, there's things that all of my Democratic friends say, we do need to have a different conversation about that and that and that.
So
and that's where we have to go.
Where are we at with this then, Boyd? Because the filibuster is one thing when he's speaking up there for 3 or 4 hours on Saturday. But where are we at today with this legislation? Does it look like Ukraine is going to get funded and then the border issue is going to be handled separately?
So they have already split those apart. So that started late last week. And so they've taken an initial vote in the Senate, which was to proceed to the bill. So saying now we can have a debate on the bill. And so that's why the senator took to the floor on Saturday. So the bill has been introduced, strictly funding for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. It passed that hurdle, so they're having that debate today.
Okay.
And then my guess is that the Senate will take a vote tomorrow or maybe Wednesday on that, and I suspect that will pass because they only need to get to 50 votes, so there's no filibuster. The filibuster thing's a myth. So that will happen, and they just have to get to 50, which will happen. The Democrats have enough votes there, plus they have the vice president if they need to break any tie. And then the question will be, what kind of pressure does that put on the House of Representatives to do something on that bill and get that funding done?
Is this a problem, a matter of trust? When you see things linked together, where you're taking border security and war funding for Ukraine, you can't separate them, as I see it, because say they pass the border stuff, and that goes through, comes into law. Is there a lack of trust that, then you're not going to do my piece next? You're not going to do the Ukraine funding or is that an issue? Why they link it together?
Yeah, yes, and the trust is within the chamber. Neither Democrats nor Republicans, the frontline members, they don't trust their leadership. because this has happened
in their own party.
In their own party, not the other party. The other party, they know who they're against, but it's within their own party. And so you'll see Democrats and Republicans who are going to raise things because they don't trust their own leaders will give them a chance to offer an amendment or to have a real debate about these issues. And so to me, that's why we should do one issue at a time. And if that becomes the standard, then everything is much cleaner, much clearer, and produces better results for the American people.
Boyd, thank you. Inside Sources today starts at 1.
Oh, Boyd, you can't leave yet. We're going to talk about the top Super Bowl commercials. Come on. I mean, my favorite, and Dave came to mind when I heard this one about paddleboard, pickleball.
Debbie, you are in so much trouble.
Oh, man.
By Dave and my wife.
Pickleball being called baby tennis.
So this is pickleball? It's basically tennis for babies, but for adults. It should be called wiffle tennis.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and Debbie go out of their way to make sure you hear all sides of the story.
They're working the phones to get several viewpoints on for you.
Hi, it's Tim and Amanda. We get you the full story, too.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Imagine yourself here.
Through traffic all the way to the finish line and let it up and in.
On us. Score your tickets to Wednesday's Jazz Lakers Showdown. Listen to Utah's Morning News Tuesday and Wednesday at 8:45 for your chance to win. Jazz Lakers tickets from Utah's Morning News and KSL News Radio.
Okay, I remember when I was very young, I may have stuck my finger in the light socket.
What?
I did. Listen, sometimes you just have to learn from a bad experience. But I've been shocked a few times when I get bids from companies and what they promised me it was going to cost, and then what it actually cost weren't even in the same ballpark.
So you got to call Master Electrical. They have upfront pricing. They have their upfront pricing guarantee. And it's exactly what it says. It's an upfront pricing guarantee. They give you the price it's going to cost you to get the job done upfront, and that's the price you pay when the job is done.
Yeah, upfront pricing guarantee, as you said. It's a proud business. It's a Utah business that has been around for a long time. Logan to Santaquin, they'll serve people. They do emergency services as well. So if something happens in the middle of the night, they can take care of you.
That's right. They're always open. So give them a call today, 801-543-2222. Again, that's 801-543-2222.
Or check them out online at masterelectrical.com.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
If you only have a 401k, you're not getting the most for retirement.
Wait, what?
Add a Robinhood IRA on top, then they'll boost it by 3%.
You can do that?
And if you transfer in any retirement account, you get 3% on top of that.
Is there a limit to the match?
No limit. Robinhood Gold gets you the biggest contribution match of any IRA on the market. Sign up for Robinhood Gold at Robinhood.com/boost by April 30th. Subscription fees apply.
Investing involves risk. 3% match requires gold for 1 year from first match. Must keep IRA for 5 years. Match on transfers subject to additional terms and conditions. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. Listen, we're fiduciaries. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. Now, imagine how that would be if you could actually retire 3 to 5 years sooner than your plan was. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan, taking into consideration any rental properties that you have, any pension income that you have, your Social Security. Listen, we put that all together for you in writing. It will allow us to build your income based on inflation. You know, inflation has been rapidly rising. You and I both need a plan that whatever we start out our income at, in 5 or 10 years, we're going to need 40% more income. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. Everybody knows I'm a movie fan, but I have to tell you, when it comes to Fiddler on the Roof, I had never seen it before on stage. Hale Center Theater's production is spectacular, better than the movie. Absolutely loved it. And by the way, my wife, who's somewhat of an aficionado, she starred as Seidel in her performing arts college production of Fiddler on the Roof. She said, this is spectacular. You're going to love the choreography, and the staging is remarkable, and the tunes, the music is just overwhelming. It's wonderful. Plus, I've got to talk about one scene in particular. This is where Tevye brings back Grandma to convince the wife that Seidel shouldn't marry the guy she's going to marry. The use of the stage and the aerials is simply breathtaking. Don't miss Fiddler on the Roof. It's playing right now at Hale Center Theater. Pick up your season tickets, gift cards, and more. Go to hct.org.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
2 years ago, Americans watched in horror as a crisis unfolded at the Kabul airport.
There's desperation and anguish.
More than 80,000 Afghans have since arrived in America, but this story is still unfolding. I'm Andrea Smartin. In my new podcast, Stranger Becomes Neighbor, we'll find out what happens to these new arrivals in our communities. Who would help our newest neighbors? Follow us at kslpodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you listen.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Delta Airlines is facing a lawsuit from the family of a woman murdered by her husband. They say the airline served him too much alcohol. Second, the legislature looking at a bill that would require prison inmates to be housed with others of the same sex at birth. And third, a huge firefight in Gaza ended with 2 Israeli hostages freed, many more Palestinians killed. Right now, 34 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
What did you think of the Super Bowl ads this year, Dave?
Fantastic.
Oh.
I loved them.
I was underwhelmed.
Stop it.
I was underwhelmed.
They were funny.
I had 2 favorites. I'll see if you agree with my faves. And did you have a couple of faves?
Yeah. I had a clear-cut winner.
You
a
did?
Clear-cut winner.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't wait to hear what it is. I'm trying to look up right now how many people watched the Super Bowl. I'm sure it was off the charts because everybody that I knew, wow, a lot. Let's see. Oh, this is last year's. Oh, we'll have to get to the bottom of that. Caitlin, can you research that for us real quickly? I wonder how many. It's like 115 million people last year. So there was a lot of eyeballs on the Super Bowl. And the ads just cost so much money. So they got to be good, right? Okay, you want to go first or you want me to go first with my top ads?
Go ahead. Let's hear.
Well, the first one is, and I thought about you, I was laughing so hard at the pickleball. I call it paddleball. Sorry, it's kind of like table tennis for adults. They play on a really tiny court with little paddles. And Dave, this is his like favorite sport. He basically like gave up playing church basketball, I think, to get involved in pickleball with all of his buddies.
I gave up every sport that I've ever played to dedicate every waking moment to pickleball.
He will crawl on hands and knees into the newsroom with basically all but a broken ankle. His foot's just dangling off of his leg.
I'm fine.
Because he's playing another round of pickleball when he should be giving it a rest.
I can't feel my feet.
Okay, E-Trade, you nailed it with the baby pickleball commercial. I loved it.
So this is pickleball? It's basically tennis for babies, but for adults.
It should be called wiffle tennis.
Yeah, because they play with something that looks like a little wiffle ball, right?
They're not wrong.
I love it. I love it. It's like it's
so
baby.
This is pickleball? It's basically tennis for babies,
It's tennis
but for
for
adults.
babies.
It should be called wiffle tennis.
I thought that was great.
That was a great commercial. It was hilarious. It was also right on. I mean, there's nothing in that commercial that I could argue with because that's what pickleball is. But until you've experienced it, it's a lot like some of those crazy foods that are like, oh, I would never try that. I would never eat that until you try and you're like, oh, that's, you know what? That's not too bad. I actually like it.
I like the one over the Doritos. It's like one bag of Doritos left on the grocery store shelf. And these 2 women who are up there in years, they try to get to him before the guy gets him.
Oh, that's dynamite.
It's not dynamite. It's dinamita.
It's dinamita. And they just chase him down. I mean, I just thought that commercial was funny. It was hilarious. And Doritos always delivers, not only those nummy nacho taste, of Doritos, but also the commercials are amazing.
Doritos has always been fantastic. They always have the funniest commercials. They have great commercials. In fact, Alex Curie used to be here on KSL News Radio. Now he does a sports show. They were having a contest. Doritos was having a contest of who could produce the best Doritos commercial.
Ooh.
And Alex and his buddies put one together, which is, it didn't end up winning the national contest. You can find it on YouTube. It is one of the funniest commercials I've ever seen. This is how I'll describe it. Alex gets attacked by a hawk. That's the punchline. He gets attacked, or a falcon. Yeah, it was fantastic. But yeah, Doritos is always doing an amazing job with their commercials.
What's your favorite?
This was by far my favorite, was the Uber Eats ad.
I didn't know you could get all this stuff on Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Gotta remember that.
Well, you know what they say, in order to remember something, you gotta forget something else. Make a little room.
So that was Jennifer Aniston. For everything you remember, you've got to forget something else. So then it plays out.
She forgot Ross.
She'd forgotten Ross from Friends. David Schwimmer. She's like, do I know you? It's like, we were on a show together for 10 years. Okay, there was a little drama to this commercial, though.
Oh, do tell.
Okay, so there was a big list of all the things that you forget. Like, one guy's talking with his boss, and his boss says, have a seat. And he forgot what a chair is. He forgot what a seat is. So he's staring at this chair like, I don't know what to do with this. But one of the funniest things, because they released this commercial several days before the Super Bowl as a little preview, was they had this guy eating a jar of peanut butter, and he had swollen up, and he had hives and blisters, clearly super
going
allergic.
Into anaphylactic shock.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And he's just eating this peanut butter.
One step away from death.
And he says, oh, there's peanuts in peanut butter? It was a super funny line. Well, they got a lot of flack for that. People complained, peanut allergies aren't funny. It's not a joke. Well, during the Super Bowl, they removed that portion of the commercial. They just took it straight out.
They just got rid of it.
They got rid of it. They caved.
They caved to the court of public opinion.
Yeah. Despite it being super funny, they took it out.
Now, I knew commercials at the Super Bowl cost a ton of money. But I really thought that RFK Jr. ad, let me play some of it for you.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Was a $7 million bomb.
Really?
I did not feel that ad at all. I was just like, why would RFK Jr. take an exact replica of his uncle JFK ad from the 60s when he was running for president and basically like put his face all over the ad and play the same ad? I just felt like that it was weird, and it didn't feel right. Like, I just feel like anything you do when it comes to stealing ads from JFK is just too soon. I mean, it's just too soon. He was assassinated and in cold blood, and he's left two children without a father. And then RFK posts on Twitter, X, whatever we want to call it today, that he was sorry after the fact that ad had hurt any of his family members, but that a PAC had paid for it and he had no legal authority to oversee it before it was released. I thought that whole thing it was weird from the beginning, and it just got weirder.
Okay, this is where I will disagree with you. I thought it was a great ad. In fact, this isn't some random guy. This is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This is JFK was his uncle. Bobby Kennedy was his dad. You get to play on that name. That is your name. This isn't you and I jumping in there and trying to, spin up and make this crazy comparison. This isn't Dan Quayle that is comparing himself to JFK.
But that's all he did is play on the name.
Yeah.
It's just disingenuous. It was disingenuous from the start. First of all, it didn't tell me a thing about what RFK stands for. It just, repeated the JFK jingle from, decades and decades ago. He didn't say a thing about what he was going to do for our country as president. Also, his dad was also assassinated. Why not ride on the coattails of his father? Why is he picking his uncle?
It's a family name. It's a family name. I think he has every right to.
Then why did he apologize for it?
No, he said, "I'm sorry that people were offended. I'm sorry that there were some people in my family that felt pain." That's how he described it. I don't think he's sorry about that. He's sorry that they felt bad about it. You say it's too soon. I say it's 60 years. It's a part of the legacy, the history. The key to a good commercial, in my opinion, is making it memorable. That was absolutely memorable.
Well, and we're talking about it today.
Yeah.
To your point. Yeah, we're talking about it today, and a lot of other people are as well. There were a ton of other ads. We've asked you on Facebook to please weigh in. What did you think of the Super Bowl ads? I didn't think they were all that over the top spectacular, but Dave thought they were awesome. There's plenty more ads to talk about, so we thought it'd be fun on a Monday after the Super Bowl to get an ad expert on the line to talk about what worked, what didn't, and which company spent the most money.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. A new primary children's hospital campus has welcomed its first 3 patients. They arrived today at the Larry H. and Gail Miller Family Campus in Lehigh with a warm welcome from doctors and nurses. All 3 of these patients have had to travel to Salt Lake City every month for care until now. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A new ABC News Ipsos poll finds 86% of Americans think President Biden's too old to serve a second term. Now, the president, who's 81, was poking fun at himself when he announced a program today to increase the number of electric vehicle charging stations around the country.
We're promoting clean energy and industries of the future, made here in America. Made in America. What I didn't realize, and I've been around, I know I don't look like it, but I've been around a while.
And 59% of Americans say the same thing about former President Trump, who's 77. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day, 218 points. The NASDAQ is up 25 right now. And we're looking at sunshine through most of this week. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Maybe it's because they're excited about Leap Day at the end of February. This is Jeff Kaplan. At Advanced Window Products, Leap Day means they get an extra day to build windows. But for you, it's an incredible opportunity. This month, they'll give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. $2,500 off on the highest quality custom window frames and double pane glass. They'll lower your energy bill and give your home an exciting new look. Any style, any color. At Advanced Window Products, you save money because they cut out the middleman. They build your windows right here in Salt Lake City. They install the windows and they guarantee them for life. So beat the rush. Once it gets warmer, their schedule backs up and you have to wait months and months for installation. So make the call and get to the head of the line. Save $2,500 and get custom precision windows built right here in Salt Lake City. Advanced Window Products offers 60-month 0% financing. You can buy now, pay later, but call now. 801-850-9100. 801-850-9100 or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
If you're looking to move out of your parents' place, you could really cut expenses by bundling your car and renter's insurance with Progressive, which is good because your little brother has gotten really territorial. You're blood related. You'd think it would be fine to share food in the fridge. I mean, who writes their name on every individually wrapped slice of cheese, Tyler? Still, you've got to admire the commitment. So bundle your renter's and car insurance with Progressive and use the savings to help you move out and have all the cheese you want. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's time for the Sportsman's Vacation and RV Show, February 16th through the 19th at the Mountain America Expo. Save $2 at UtahRVShow.com.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 13 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, and Nevada, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, or other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 90 days from the station contest or event are not eligible. Full general contest rules are available at KSLNewsRadio.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
We have a crash in Davis County, northbound I-15, Hillfield Road, out of traffic on the right shoulder. All machines are discounted during the embroidery sale at Dave's Bernina in St. George and Provo. 48 months, no interest, and amazing buy a machine, get free gift offers. Great bargains on previously loved machines. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, mostly sunny with highs in the 40s. No serious chance of rain until Thursday. And right now, we're at 36 degrees, mostly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomis from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
I think most of us feel like Super Bowl ads are really super funny or they're just plain bad. Like, Dave, what did you think about the State Farm ad with starring Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Cut. Hey, Arnold, I'm hearing neighbor. It's neighbor.
That's what I said.
It's neighbor. That one was great. The State Farm one was great. In fact, I thought this was as good a batch of Super Bowl commercials as I've seen in years. Sometimes they go through these stages where they're very emotional, kind of emo. This year, it was funny. I think that was the hook. It was, let's make them funny.
A lot of pending movie trailer commercials. Like, one was like coming in Thanksgiving. I'm like, Thanksgiving? You know how much is going to happen between now and Thanksgiving? That's a little too soon for me. But I really, this was my absolute favorite just because it poked at Dave.
So this is pickleball? It's basically tennis for babies, but for adults.
It should be called wiffle tennis.
I mean, we all think that, right? Literally, E-Trade sat around the table and said, like, what do we think of pickleball? Like, it's tennis for babies. Oh, somebody write that down. It was a classic. It was memorable.
Yeah, that was great. That was fantastic.
You liked it even though?
That was your favorite one?
Yes.
My favorite one was Uber Eats with Jennifer Aniston.
You loved that one?
Yeah, love that one.
Yeah, let me see if I can get back to that one real quick. Where is that one? There it is. I found it.
I didn't know you could get all this stuff on Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Gotta remember that.
Well, you know what they say, in order to remember something, you gotta forget something else. Make a little room.
Then it just goes through all the things that people are forgetting. It was very clever, very funny. I loved it.
She forgotten she was married to Ross.
In Friends.
In Friends, yeah.
Yep.
Walt McRoberts, he's a partner with EVP Make Advertising. Well, hello, Walt.
Hello. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, well, you're the expert on this. What ones worked, what ones didn't, and which ones cost the most?
Oh, I absolutely love the ones that you just went through already. And I agree with what was said. I think this year had some great ads in it that really tried to jump into that storytelling and grab the emotions of consumers. A lot more of the more humorous or chuckle type of ads this year, as you said. In past years, especially during COVID, it was a lot more drama. So I was really glad to see that we could get back to some humor and really make light of it, especially because the Super Bowl was the game itself was kind of boring until the second half, right? So yeah. it helped entertain us in the meantime.
Agree. So let's start with the Dunk King commercial starring Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and J-Lo.
Affleck on the track.
What up, Bronx? For your consideration, here comes the Boston Massacre.
I wasn't exactly really sold on this one, but do you like it?
I thought that they did a good job. I mean, if you look at Dunkin' as a brand, I thought, okay, you're really not selling the product too much, but you have so much star power in here that everyone's paying attention. It was a full-minute commercial. I think they did good on the storytelling part. So I think as far as Dunkin's concerned, it probably attracted their current customer base and said, hey, don't forget about us. Come and buy from us more.
Okay, we touched on this, but Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Cut. Hey, Arnold, I'm hearing neighbor. It's neighbor.
That's what I said.
This one was kind of tricky. I thought it was funny, but when you're kind of making fun of his accent, English is a second language. What do you think?
I thought it was great. I watched it all the way through that first time earlier in the game, and I thought that it did a great job. But they got a double bonus, right? The second it went into overtime, they got to play that ad yet again. And so to have over 100 million people see your ad twice in a row when they're really paying attention, I think it hit off the charts. I think it was a good one.
Let's get to Dave's fave, Uber Eats, starring Jennifer Aniston and others.
I didn't know you could get all this stuff on Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Gotta remember that.
Well, you know what they say. In order to remember something, you gotta forget something else. Make a little room.
We're speaking with Walt McRoberts. He's a partner with EVP Make Advertising about the Super Bowl ads, the hits and the misses. Uber Eats, go, Walt. What do you think?
I thought it was good, especially if you consider who's primarily buying from them or buys from them frequently or uses their service frequently. I think it hit that right audience. And then, of course, at the end of it, they jumped in with David Beckham and his wife. And so I think that star power in there, along with kind of teasing the ad space into what we know really happened on Friends, I think it just brought back a lot of memories and thus made it more memorable.
Yeah, the nostalgia is always a good thing to call back to, assuming that everyone knows what you're talking about.
It's true. It'll miss some people, but it wasn't put too far left or too far right. I think those that knew it would grab it, and those who didn't would just think it was a good ad anyway.
Well, and I think the younger generation that's ordering from Uber Eats is probably binge watching Friends on their favorite streaming service, and they've seen the couch scene a million times when they can't get the sofa up the stairs, and they just fall in love with Friends no matter how old you are. I also fell in love with this ad, Walt. It was an E-Trade ad. And it's about pickleball babies.
So this is pickleball? It's basically tennis for babies, but for adults.
I just can't. Wiffle tennis. I just can't stop laughing over it's tennis for babies, because that's what we all think when we drive by those courts and see the Dave Noriega, my co-host, out there playing pickleball with a tiny paddle and a wiffle ball and calling it awesome.
And it's the whole sport is so hot right now,
it
right?
Is.
It's blown up across the entire country, and so to kind of make fun of it makes a whole lot more people listen in really quick and really grab the fact that E-Trade is trying to play off of this hot sport, if you will. And so I loved it. I thought it was great.
Okay, which ad spent the most money?
That was really I was surprised to see Temu, for example. They ran ad after ad after ad, 3, 4, 5 ads, and
same one.
And I think I think they even ran one for an entire minute. And personally, I didn't like them too much. They went into the whole animation piece, but we're all there to be entertained, either with humor or pull us in with something, right? And the animation in and of itself didn't do that very well, in my opinion. And so everything that I'm seeing online, a lot of the comments were like that. I don't even remember those ads, and yet they ran quite a few of them. So I think that was a big
I would
mistake.
also say this. I don't know a lot about Temu. I've heard of it, but I don't use it to shop on. Let me play some of this ad.
Feels like a dream, feels like magic. Now I believe I can have it.
It sounds like something like, okay, come to Disneyland now. I mean, I still don't really understand what they're selling.
But I will say this, Walt. My wife, she said, well, maybe I should start ordering from them, because she kind of thought it was a little bit of a shady business until she saw it on the Super Bowl. And she's like, oh, this is legitimate. Then maybe I do start shopping there. Yeah.
Wow, that's it. What do you think of that, Walt?
I think that could be very true, but it's the fact that they had to run 3 or 4 of those ads at $7 million apiece before they could kind of break through that. And you know what? They are directly competing with Amazon, and so maybe that is what it's going to take for them to break through, is to hit us hard, and over again. So we'll have to see what happens.
Any others that felt like it was just a little too much money spent for the ad?
You know, Homes.com was really interesting. They ran 3 or 4 different ads as well, so they spent just a grundle of money, but they also went over the top on the production, right? There's a lot of different plays on that, as well as celebrities thrown into the mix. And so I get that they're launching a product, a new website. They're trying to compete in this home builder space, which is good, and this may be what they needed to do. But I think the execution probably had some problems, and people aren't going to remember it as much as they potentially could have if they would have gone about it a different way.
Well, Walt, thanks for joining us. Walt McRoberts, who's a partner and executive vice president at Make Advertising. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's a lot of money to waste to air a bomb. You know, if it doesn't resonate, and people are talking about it in the negative by the next day, ouch.
Remember, that 30-second commercial is going to cost you $7 million. $7 million every time it runs. 30 years ago, when my Cowboys were in the Super Bowl, it only cost $1 million to run one of those.
Dave, that was a long time ago. Next, we laughed at the idea of drawing Pacific Ocean water from the coast of California through a pipeline to fill up the Great Salt Lake. Turns out lawmakers are getting serious about it. More on that next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Bish's is skipping this year's big RV show for a big reason. It costs each dealer a fortune, and guess who gets stuck with the bill? Yep, you. So skip the big show expense and come to the Bish's Better Than Show pricing event for free admission, free parking, and Better Than Show pricing on new and used RVs. Only at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, February 12th through the 17th and President's Day. Better pricing's big, but better selection? That's huge. Instead of spending your money to see a handful of models hauled to the show, you're getting Better Than Show pricing on our entire inventory of new and used RVs. You'll find pricing as low as $140 per month on approved credit, plus clearance pricing on all remaining new 2023s. You'll also make 0 payments until May on approved credit and get generous trade-in offers on your current RV. Start shopping now at skipthervshow.com. Better brands, bigger selection, lower than show pricing, and free admission? Why settle? Come to the Better Than Show pricing event at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, February 12th through the 17th and President's Day. Bish's RV, where memories begin. Stock number 73504 and 76976. Based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details.
Okay, that's good. Whoa, Dave!
Sorry, I'll go grab some paper towels. You can't let Dave pour things. He works at JCW's. They fill stuff up past the brim over there, like their milkshakes. They're thick, rich, and oh my gosh.
Delicious?
Oh no, Dave's filling up Crystal's car for her.
Dave, stop!
Hey, this is Clark for JCW. Stop into any of our 5 locations today. We're located in American Fork, Thanksgiving Point, Provo, South Jordan, and our new location in Harriman. Come in and see why at JCW's we believe in quality and a lot of it.
When was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it really deserves? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the biggest air filter in your home. If your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you're breathing in all sorts of nasty dirt, dander, and germs that keep recirculating again and again. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home with their February special. Don't think vacuuming or DIYing will suffice. Call the pros. Zero Res has over 7,400 Google reviews with a 4.8 rating. This month, it's $33 per room cleaned, plus a 4th room free with promo code 4FREE24. And don't forget about your air ducts. Take $50 off your air duct cleaning with promo code CLEAN-AIR. Call ZeroRes, 866-ZERO-RES, or online at ZeroRes.com and say you want the KSL special, ZeroRes. Spelled backwards or forwards, it's the right way to clean.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. For 75 years, Chevron Salt Lake Refinery has provided affordable, reliable, ever cleaner energy for Utah. Chevron Technical Manager at the Salt Lake Refinery, Linda Bachmeyer, joins us with more.
When the Chevron Salt Lake Refinery started up in 1948, it played a crucial role in Utah's history, fueling industry and growth after World War II when demand for automotive products grew rapidly. In our 75-year history, the refinery has evolved to meet Utah's changing needs. The refinery started as a simple facility making only low-octane gasoline and kerosene and has grown to a complex facility producing gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. The refinery was and still is a crucial link between Rocky Mountain crudes and the communities across the Intermountain West. At Chevron, we pride ourselves on working to solve today's biggest challenges like air quality. We invested in technology to reduce the refinery emissions by almost 90% since the 1990s. We also make Tier 3 gasoline, a lower sulfur, cleaner burning fuel that helps reduce tailpipe emissions that cause air pollution. In our 75 years of operation in Utah, we are proud of our innovations as we work towards an ever cleaner energy future.
Chevron employs nearly 400 people at the Salt Lake Refinery, with operators who keep the refinery humming 24/7. It's fuels, powered cars, industry, and human progress across Utah. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, patients who are arriving at the new Primary Children's Hospital in Lehigh this morning. Second, Utah could negotiate with other states to bring additional water to the state under a bill in the legislature. And third, President Biden was poking fun at poll results that show many Americans think he's too old to serve a second term. Right now, 36 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hey, don't forget it's secret contest time. This is your chance to try to get in to win a pair of AirPod Pros, which would be amazing. It's for our podcast listeners only, and thankfully it is super easy and it's totally free to listen to our show on podcast.
Yeah, listen for the keyword. I'm going to give you a keyword. When you hear that, text 57500, and then you'll be entered into a chance to win AirPod Pros.
If you're wondering how to get a hold of our podcast, all you got to do is go to kslpodcast.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and then just type in Dave and Dujanovic. And my last name is D-U-J, by the way. That's how it's spelled. Not D-E, not D-A-J, not D-I-J, not D-Y. It's D-U-J. Just start there. Dave and D-U-J. It'll pop right up for your chance to win a pair of AirPod Pros, which would be a great thing to win. We're giving a pair away a week in the month of love, which is the month of February. So do it today, do it now, and get in to win.
Eye on the Hill 2024. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
It's been a big story today on Utah's Morning News. Also, KSL News Radio's Adam Small was in with us earlier today talking about this because he covers developments in the Great Salt Lake and what's going on Capitol Hill to improve the situation of the Great Salt Lake. And Dave and I have kind of joked, laughed. He even chuckled earlier today when I brought up the pipeline from the Pacific to the Great Salt Lake, and it was talked about not too long ago, and we laughed at it. But it turns out lawmakers are looking at this with a serious twist, Dave.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out, besides conservation, or I should say, in addition to conservation, what can Utahns do, and what can we put in place to get more water and keep more water in this state? Because if we're going to grow like we're expected to grow, the drain on the resources of water are enormous. And we've got to figure out a long-term solution, because for far too long, we've just been watering our grass as much as we wanted, that Kentucky bluegrass, and not paying a lot of attention to the fact that we live in a desert.
And the lake is suffering. So there's a couple layers to this, and so glad that Senate President Stuart Adams was able to jump on the air live this morning with Tim and Amanda to talk about the plan, or what they hope they can do to get some stuff done in regards to the Great Salt Lake. Let's talk first about this idea of a water agent. I think it is pretty important. It sounds kind of like it's like an FBI agent only for water. It's important because what this water agent will do, let's just let President Adams explain.
that water agent will work with other states to try to develop new water sources. We know we have to conserve, but we know that without new water resources, water is the limiting factor to our growth. And there's so many opportunities. They're endless as to how we can work with other states to find a win-win with them.
One of the biggest water sources that we have right now is the Colorado River. Now, this passes through, half a dozen states, the Colorado River does, but it passes through Utah. Well, we have to let most of it, or a lot of it, pass right through the state and onto Arizona and into California. I don't know if it hits Nevada at all, but anyway, that water just passes through Utah. Well, is there a way that we can keep more of that water? That's one of the solutions that I think they're throwing out there.
Sure sounds a lot easier than constructing an uphill pipeline from the Pacific and chug, 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 chug. And then I don't know.
They've got the water passing through.
It spills into the Great Salt Lake. That sounds far-fetched, but maybe not. If you take the pipeline out of it and then you start treating water like baseball trading cards and trading water resources with California. Here's President of the Senate, Stuart Adams, and his explanation of that piece on Utah's Morning News this morning.
Years ago, we talked about bringing water from the Pacific Ocean. Everybody kind of laughed at it, but we actually didn't want to do that. We thought of maybe setting up desalination plants in California and then trading California. Their Colorado River may be water rights, and us paying for the desalination plants. Nevada's doing that. They're actually trying to work with California, building desalination plants so that they can have water out of the ocean, and then the water that would have flowed to California, Nevada's keeping it, actually creates new water. That's an innovative idea that started in Utah, I think, and Nevada's using it, and we need to be ahead of the curve rather than behind Nevada.
I remember listening to an interview with Elon Musk, and they were talking about water as a problem. And Elon dismissed it immediately. He said, water is not the problem. 3/4 of the world is covered in water. We have plenty of water. It's just salt water. But we have the technology to desalinate it, to take that salt out and make it drinking water. In fact, there is a desalination plant in California. It's in Santa Barbara. It plays a crucial role in providing enough drinkable water that was formerly ocean water.
I want to talk about one more thing. Of course, we're watching all the things on Utah's Capitol Hill as we wind down the legislative session, but there's one other important piece of discussion that is happening on Capitol Hill this week.
Eye on the Hill 2024. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Continuing our special coverage with our Eye on the Hill, want to talk about what is going on. What we've learned is the latest with state school board member Natalie Klein as well. When we last left you last week, there was some discussion as to whether or not the House of Representatives had the power to initiate an impeachment process. And in fact, we had Minority Leader Angela Romero live on the line from the House of Representatives right as the story was breaking. Now, if you are just kind of late to the story, that's okay. We can get you up to speed. Natalie Klein, she's a state school board member facing mounting pressure to resign her seat after a Facebook post and all the comments implied, and was a photo of this high school girl, she was a basketball player. The post in its totality implied that this child is transgender, and she is not. She's not transgender. Now, if she doesn't resign, the House has been looking into some options. And what they've come to is a House of Representatives on Friday, Dave, opened a resolution file to address Klein's actions. And there are some options here. They can either censure her, which you and I have talked about censures in the past.
Slap on the wrist.
Letter in the file.
Letter in the file. A strongly worded letter.
Yeah. Impeachment, and then removal from office. according to the news sources that I've read up on this. So there, and also KSL Television's Lindsay Aerts, who's been covering this story from Capitol Hill, joined us a little earlier to go over those options. But this is just at the beginning of the process. They're still working out the language in that bill file. Lawyers have to get involved. It'll eventually have to go through the House of Representatives. And the House is trying to figure out right now if they can empower the state school board then to take action against Klein, or if that would be something that would remain with the House of Representatives on Capitol Hill. So lots of things to be ironed out. But that's where we are starting this week. On Capitol Hill with the Natalie Klein issue.
And to be clear, this is an elected position. And it is a paid position. It's a full-time paid position, elected position. And school board members here in the state of Utah board members make somewhere on average about $80,000 a year. So a resignation would be not only a hit, to what your aspirations are, but it's certainly a financial hit as well.
We don't have any indication that she's going to do that at this point, but whatever develops on that story, of course, we will be your go-to for news and information on that developing story. There has been another big developing story all morning long that our news team has been tracking very closely. There was a shooting that happened this morning. It was about 6:45 in the morning in the Sandy area at about 7800 South and 6th East. Maria Chaleo's up next. She's got the latest details on that shooting that left one person dead and sent another person to the hospital.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News.